You are now entering a dangerous liberty zone where God-given natural rights are held sacred and exercised. This is your warning. Tyranny, fascism, and censorship will not be tolerated. Ideas will be exchanged freely. Rigorous debate and open discourse is encouraged. If you are weak and your beliefs are fragile, you should leave now. Prepare yourself. We are now live on the Dangerous Liberty Podcast. All right, folks, what is happening? Hoping everybody's out there having a great Monday. We got a great show for you. We got a lot of new information coming out. Literally some things I was being sent and analyzing stuff right before this show started. I apologize for being late. Suddenly, we get up here and Gray and I are talking, and the Wi-Fi just cut out, and I actually had to break out a Starlink, and I don't know what happened, but we got us back on track here. I want to say hi to everybody over in the comments. We will be taking your comments. We'll be taking your questions. We will prioritize super chats, but we appreciate you tuning in. And I'm excited to have Gray. Gray, it's been a minute since we had you on. But for those of our viewers that don't know who you are, Gray, tell a little bit about yourself and introduce yourself.
I'm kind of a true crime YouTuber, I guess you really call me. I mean, that's what I mainly cover, but I also, this is a crime, so I'm covering this one. My approach is sort of, I take the factual information available in the case and I map everything out and I put it all together, and it ends up telling a story, and it's the reality. Almost every single time when I'm doing it, it's the reality of what's happening. A lot of times when there's cases like this specifically, the conspiracy theory is where everybody goes first, and I just start putting the pieces of the puzzle together, and then people are usually kind of shocked when they go, "Oh, wow, okay, that makes sense," and it's not as conspiratorial. I mean, conspiracies happen, but it's really rare compared to, I think, what people think it is out there. But I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. I do a lot of animations too. I have a 3D program, and I build, like in the Idaho case, I built a whole model of the entire house, Idaho 4 case, and you can walk through it and visualize where everything is with photographs, etc. But anyways, that's kind of me, I guess.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to have Gray on tonight, as far as laying things out with different graphics, kind of showing, satellite imagery. He just does a better job than anybody else. I mean, he really does a good job telling the story, kind of laying it out in a very factual manner. And he and I had done some talking during the Butler, the attempted assassination on President Trump. And, again, I think he's a guy that I like to talk to, bounce ideas off of, sanity check some things, and make sure that we're not going down rabbit holes that are kind of a waste of time. And I put out that video today with the same intent, right? I think there's a lot of people focusing on things that shouldn't be focused on. With that being said, I do think there are some weird things, obviously, about this case. I don't necessarily think it's just, open and shut. Even some things I was getting right before this podcast, I was going through and other things that I don't have a good explanation for. So first of all, I want to thank everybody for 200,000 subscribers. We really do appreciate that. As a matter of fact, this Wednesday, we're going to do another live stream for those of you just joining us and haven't been here been following us for a long time. Every Wednesday, we do a live stream just like this. So if you join us on Wednesday, we're going to be doing a big giveaway, and it won't just be one thing. It'll be multiple things. We'll try to spread the love a little bit. We really appreciate that. Something that Gray and I have talked a little bit about in the past is kind of censorship, and some of the things we're going to show you. There's some things we can't show you tonight because of YouTube will cut this stream, amongst other things. But for those of you the other night that watched my stream with Nate from VFT, I thought it was hilarious. And it just shows you that my YouTube credit score is in the negative, because he hosted that live stream. His live stream was monetized, but mine was not.
Yeah. And then I guess you told me even after you appealed it, they go, no, it's verified. Well, his stream is exactly the same stream. Yeah.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
and folks, for those of you out there that don't know how YouTube works, it's not about the monetization. There's not really any money in general, at least the way that I do it. I mean, our primary income is from the business, very little money. But the point is that when a video gets demonetized, its reach gets crushed. And that's the real problem and that's how YouTube suppresses content while they boost others. And that's one of the issues that we've constantly dealt with on YouTube. So it is what it is. And, we'll get into a couple of
I was thinking earlier, just to let you know, it's like, I was wondering if having, YouTube might look at having just guns in the background. I mean, I think they're that lame, but I bet you just having them there, they go, oh, we verified it. I see you have it, but the other guy didn't have, like that, right? Do you think that's what they're doing? I mean, I bet you they are. Right? I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, we do cover a lot of gun content on this channel. I think that's problematic as far as YouTube is concerned, even though we follow the rules and, they have specific rules for firearms and things like that. And I try to follow those rules. And even when I've crossed my I's and dotted my T's, our content still gets demonetized. And of course we do stay political on this. And we were very vocal during COVID, which is really when I started the channel. I didn't have that many followers and subscribers, so I didn't really care. And I said what I thought. And I think I'm on their naughty list, and I don't really care. So
do you feel sort of like I do? Because I feel like now I want to say whatever I think even more. Like this whole Charlie Kirk thing, it's just like now I'm just, you know what? Because there were so many times where I was wanting to say something, because I have a true crime channel, and people would cancel, unsubscribe because I'd say something that was political, and now I just don't care at all. I'm going to say whatever the hell I feel like.
Yeah, I have never. Here's the thing. I have never self-censored because I was worried about being political or appeasing subscribers, viewers, or whatever else. Never done that. It is frustrating when you spend the time that we do on videos and things like that, upload those to YouTube, and then they get demonetized. So there were times when I've thought carefully about what I'm trying to say and tried to say the same thing in a different way, that hopefully skirting that, because we can just say whatever we want, but we're dealing in this operational environment of YouTube. And I think there is more strategic ways to go about getting your point across. I'm not saying that's been effective, but I've never self-censored because I'm worried about what subscribers and viewers say. I just won't do it. And if, this channel is not for everybody, not everybody's going to like you. I don't know what else to say.
No, that's exactly it right there. Oops, I got a coffee on my face.
Oh, there you go.
But it was no, I totally agree. I mean, I literally say that. I go, if you don't like my channel, don't watch. It's always weird when people type that little goodbye comment. Yeah. I used to like you. I'm leaving. Well, nobody cared, So
I didn't know you were here. I didn't know you were here.
That's hilarious.
With that being said, I mean, I want to build this community, and I want like-minded individuals, not an echo chamber. Look, I always have appreciated differing opinions, and I want to hear, and that's why we do these live streams. You and I are talking about this. Live streams are, for whatever reason, YouTube does not like live streams. Like, they are the least monetized. They are the most, you just don't get as many views. You can get 10 times the amount of views on a video. But I think it's really important to do these live streams so that we can get you guys in on the conversation. I actually want to hear from you, and I want to hear what your opinions are, your takes on things, and hopefully be able to show that to other people and get a different point of view out. So there it is.
Makes sense.
A couple of things. Number one, and this is where things get weird too. Number one, I do feel like I got pretty good confirmation that he was not wearing a vest. And I'll show you some media. Let me see if I have this post. So this is a post that I got. I'm going to share this up here. A DM. This is somebody I was talking to here that is close with the Kirk team. So I just spoke with a senior FBI SA that has reviewed the initial forensic report. Blows me away, but the official narrative is that there was no body armor. This is a guy that said, hey, I know Charlie personally. I know he always wears body armor. I communicated this to one of Charlie's security guys who was not present that day. Unfortunately, whose first comment was wet. So if I'm wrong on that, and it looks like I'm fine with it. Just like I told you guys in the last video, or the video before last. That being said, that makes things weirder in my opinion. And I was actually, and I'll tell you for what it's worth, I did get tagged in another post that actually said, another guy saying that he actually talked to someone that was the trauma surgeon that confirmed that he did have body armor. So we still have conflicting information. I'm going to go with, if I just looked at it objectively, I think at this point we could say that he probably didn't have body armor, which again, to me makes some things weird because we don't have an exit wound or one that I can see.
Hasn't it already been reported? Even like the governor and other people said that he didn't have body armor. I was told that they heard it in an interview.
That was reported today. I haven't heard it.
Somebody said that they heard it in an interview, like multiple people. It wasn't just one. They said they heard it in an interview, and I don't remember where that was. But you know, I mean, like when you use the word like their narrative is that, it's like, well, if it's true, it's true. It's not really a narrative, right? So if somebody says, hey, you know, he didn't have body armor on, it's somebody that's actually investigated the crime. That means that is what it is. But a lot of people don't believe official words, you know, a lot of times. So I don't know.
The interview that you're talking about, which I think is different from the governor saying it personally, is I did see a reporter on on Twitter, right? And he said that he had talked to the sheriff department, and they said that he didn't have body armor.
Okay, so Brian Enton, that's the guy, right? He asked. Yeah. Okay, so I mean that's pretty good information, right? Like it's not terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take it on his face. I'll take it on its face value. Again, my problem is if we don't have body armor, then I just feel like we're lacking some explanation of the physics going on with his shirt. That we don't have an exit wound. And look, there could be reasonable explanations for all of that. I was looking at some footage right before this, and matter of fact, I'm just gonna I'll throw this up here.
Here we go, man. YouTube, I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. This is just, well, I'm saying is this that same footage we were looking at?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a funny video. I'm laughing at how YouTube will just go up. They just collapse your
all right. Yeah. So let's take a look at this real quick. I'm going to make it as big as possible. And this is trying to do this on here is a little frustrating, but we're going to squeeze this in here and then we'll try to make this as big as possible. So a couple of things on this is I was sent this earlier. Look, this is literally like 2 frames before, and I know it's not very big on the screen, folks. But literally 2 frames before he's actually, there's an impact. We'll just put it like that.
If you put your left mouse in the middle of the image and then scroll with it, it'll zoom just that in. Just click on that and then,
there we go. Yeah. All right. So
you're using Premiere, so I figure, hey, man, I know.
So if we look here, this is before an impact. This is literally, there is something that goes flying through the air prior to an impact. The other thing that I was looking at while this was going on, if we just saw this footage, we didn't see anything else, and we didn't have anything else to distort our objective view on things like this. If I saw this footage and somebody said to Gary, where do you think this person was hit? The first thing I would say is the chest. And it is odd that if he's hitting the neck there, that it looks like his chest collapses down and his head goes forward. There's almost like a whiplash motion. And I think if I show any more than that, I would probably get in trouble with YouTube. But
I see that object. Let me ask you something. What do you think? You're way more familiar with guns and everything. I've watched videos where there's like a gel thing. Now, yeah. This is what I was talking to you about, and then your thing froze, and I thought you were just still listening, but it was frozen up.
I was listening very intently to you.
Yeah, it was pretty funny, but yeah, it was. You know, I think when you see his body move, the bullet's already through him. Like I feel like you know, those bullets are going so fast, it hits him, and then the body recoils. So when you see those times when bullets
Yep.
go through gel and it goes
Sure.
through about halfway, and all of a sudden the rest of the gel starts going, like that. And I'm wondering if that's going on with it hits him in the neck so hard, and the shock wave kind of wiggles down his chest, and then that sort of flips his shirt up like that. Is that a possibility?
Here's the problem that I have with that, and why it doesn't make sense to me is whatever this object is, it's not a bullet. We wouldn't capture a bullet in a 30 frame per second video, right? It's just, you're not going to. So what is this that seems to arrive prior to that? And then we do have, I don't understand what that is that flies by.
Could that be the black thing, and there's just a different angle, or is the black thing that, the black object that's probably
his shirt hasn't moved yet.
Okay, so that mic's still on there from the other position, right? Or whatever that is.
Yeah, so his shirt hasn't moved yet, and that's the problem with that as well. So I don't know what that is. It's definitely an anomaly, that's for sure. So I don't know. We'll definitely, like I said, just before this live stream is when I put that up. So, and then again, as I'm watching this, it just sure looks like he's hitting the chest. I have a hard time letting that go. Now, again, I don't care if he has body armor or not.
There would be a bullet hole in the shirt, though, right? No matter what. There would be a bullet hole in the shirt if he did get shot in the chest, right?
Yes. And in that first video that I released, I think there is a bullet hole. I show that. It looks like a bullet hole. So I don't know. We will come back to that. I think at the end of the day, the ballistics aren't, at the end of the day, I don't know how much it matters. The result is what the result is. And going on there that we can definitely discuss.
Okay.
I don't know. It is weird. And there's a lot of other kind of strange elements that go on with this whole thing. One of the things I wanted to talk about that I think you did a really good presentation on, Gray, was the fact, I know there's a lot of folks out there. Oh, actually, one other thing I want to show you guys before I'm turn over the reins to Gray, and we're going to go over some of the footage that came from the FBI that on that adjacent building. I know there's a lot of people talking about or confused about the line of sight. I've seen this talked about quite a bit. I think a lot of people imagine that the shooter is at this really elevated position. And I've even heard people say there's no way that, Charlie Kirk could be seen while the shooter's at this position and Charlie Kirk's at this position. First of all, they're approximately 140 yards away. I know you did a pretty good detailed distance analysis, Gray. Is that about right? 140 yards?
Yeah, I mean, I think it might even be like 139 or 8, So, I mean, right around there,
So, again, he's at this elevated position. He's 140 yards away. Folks, that angle of descent is not that much. And I want you guys to see right here, it's probably around 10 degrees. That's probably what we're talking about. And I know it's tough to see even in this, but if you had this picture and you could analyze it and you guys can screenshot it and look at it closer, Charlie Kirk could easily be seen. You can see right here at the bottom of this picture is the shooter's position. There's some sort of evidence markers. I don't know what that is exactly, but there are some evidence markers, and so you can see some footprints. And this is the alleged shooter's position. And you can clearly see all the way to the top of Charlie Kirk's head if he was seated where he was seated. So the idea that, hey, this is this super high elevated position above Charlie Kirk and the bullet is traveling at this super acute downward angle is just not true. And, again, this is just kind of dispelling the idea that there wouldn't be a line of sight because people are imagining the scene differently than what it actually is.
Yeah, and it's interesting because even being on the roof, I mean, even in my first videos, I'd say this is where he was, and then it's blocked, and if you just move over to the left, it's wide open. That little point of the roof, even in the image you showed, that sticks out. If you're like 2 feet to the right and you're lying down, that blocks the shot. Yeah. It's what's weird about this? It's so similar to the Crooks. I mean, my God,
it is. It is
all the little
extremely
weird
strange.
videos of him running, and the how he got up on there and he had to slide. He had a perfect little angle he had to be in on that roof too, even in that.
Yeah.
Really weird.
And people actually spotting him before he shot anyone, and apparently no one said anything or alerted the authorities, or at least made enough of a ruckus to actually draw attention to it. The similarities are pretty uncanny. There's no doubt about it.
Very, very weird. And those two guys did see him up there, but from their perspective, they were probably just like, they actually mentioned like, man, they seem kind of late for being like an Overwatch, like a SWAT team or something, and then he goes, just saying. And that must have been really trippy for them. Then a moment later to hear like a boom, and then they realize that person shot, because they actually have a video of him, I think, standing up or at least arriving there. Have you ever seen that one where he's standing up? You can even see the white dot on his shirt.
No, I actually haven't seen it. So he's actually standing on the roof.
Yeah, there's like a still frame. Let me see if I can. I don't know if I have it. Just I didn't have it just sitting there, but let's see.
While you're looking at that, and I'm going to have you pull up some of the other footage we're going to talk about. I know there's a lot of questions about the firearm and whether or not it is captured when he's descending the roof. While you look at that, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of go through some of these super chats real quick. Number one, Marilyn, thank you. Carrie Summers, thank you. Carrie Summers, thank you. New member Tracy Van Brott, thank you. Member for 69 months. That has to be yours. Wild Bill.
Yeah, that's a long time too.
That is.
Linda
How long
Howell.
have you been doing this, Gray?
Yeah, I think like 10 years I've been doing, well, I'd say more like 9 years doing YouTube videos, but live streaming for when they started doing this. So it's like 2017. So somebody like, 69 months. What is that? It's almost 6 years.
Yeah, 5.5 years.
That's crazy.
Real quick, I do want to address this. I know this keeps coming up. This is, did you get any info on the security guy with the black shirt doing hand signals? So that guy directly behind Charlie Kirk, I've been following Charlie Kirk for many, many years. I've been watching his content for a long time. That guy is his head of security. He's been in almost every video that you can ever find with Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk's team, I think it actually even came from his family, released a statement saying that guy's not only Charlie Kirk's head of security, he's a close friend to Charlie Kirk's. I think it is implausible that, he was in on it, or anybody everybody behind, the little metal barricades there, that was either part of a security team or close friends. I think it's very implausible that any of those people are involved in any of this. And
I've seen that dark hair guy, the dark hair guy with the glasses that's closest to him. He's in a lot of Charlie Kirk's his events that he's standing right there and he's really involved. Like he's a friend. There's no way in hell he had anything to do with that.
He is in almost every video out there for sure. Real quick, Eric Dieter says, what if the rifle was a ploy? Could it have been a 9mm 380 ACP handgun from the brown shirt guy in the crowd, and Tyler was distraction to take our eyes off the inner crowd? This is kind of one of the things, and again, people have been sending me pictures and stuff of supposed muzzle flashes in the crowd and things like that. My problem with any of that is that every picture or suspicious person or muzzle flash that people have sent me is like in and amongst 50 other people. Like, I don't care if it's a suppressed firearm or whatever else you can come up with. Like, the people around said assassin are going to be like, hey, what the hell was that? They're going to notice something. So I think, I think most of those types of ideas are kind of implausible.
Yeah, and it's also some of the guy's shooting under his arm and he gets perfect shot right in the neck or something, and then the bullet hits him in the front of the neck, so it did an arc around. I don't know.
Well, here's the problem with that, Gray, is there's a lot of people that are saying that the entrance wound is on his right side somewhere. And then we have an exit wound out his neck. So that's one of the prevailing theories out there. I don't see any evidence of that, folks. Like I'm on board with anything. I do think that there's some physics and the lack of an exit wound that just don't make sense. But even going back to that, I want you guys to think about this. Like, let's say we're in charge of the assassination plot and somebody comes to you, and I said this in my video, like somebody comes to you and say, hey, Gary, you're in charge. Here's what I want to propose. I'm going to be the security guide up front. I'm going to be right in front of thousands of people, in front of thousands of phones, videotaping this right in front of Charlie Kirk. And I'm going to put this device underneath my arm, and I'm not going to look at him, but I'm going to shoot it right in front of him. And I'd be like, you're an idiot. This is the dumbest thing that I've ever seen. So some of that stuff kind of doesn't, it
the
flies
thing
in
is,
the face of common sense.
Yeah, what sort of wins the day is common sense. Like, there might be at some point this crazy. I've had a couple cases out of thousands that I've done that have been like, whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But like in something like this, now you have this one where this guy is in the front and he's doing something with his hand, and apparently he's shooting right through the shadow in his finger, and it's like, come on, man. It's just, we're getting to a point where I don't know. I mean, you guys, everybody can think whatever the hell they want to think. But my thing is I like to try to figure out, I sort of back engineer what the investigators have. And that's the picture right there. There it is.
I haven't seen that one. Yeah,
so that must be from the same exact camera, because that's right where they were standing. I have the video of them. And if you look up there, you can almost see that white part of the front of his shirt, it looks like. I even mentioned before we had ever surveillance, I go, oh, it looks like he has a white logo or something in the front of his shirt. And then next day they put out that picture. It's so blurry.
Do you think that's so blurry that you can't see it, or do you think at that point he has something covering his head? Because it does look like you would think that you would see some sort of skin tones around there.
Yeah, I think it's just, I mean, if you look at the, like that far away, and that's even zoomed in and cropped off their original. So it's hard to know. I mean, at this point, I bet, it's probably the baseball cap and, or whatever he was wearing when he ran off. It kind of looks the same, right? When he was running off the edge of the building. So if you kind of look at that, and then when he jumps off. Yeah. So, there's all kinds of, you would think there'd be even more footage of him though. There's got to be, actually. I guarantee you, of all the people that were in the press boxes behind, somebody filming, doing something, there's got to be more footage of him moving around. But I mean, at this point, it doesn't matter, because law enforcement has that 360-degree camera that's absolutely, I believe, picking up all those movements that they mentioned in the probable cause document were picked up in that. He goes through that door, then he goes up that sort of staircase onto the roof. They can see all of that happening, and then he goes over, steps over at 1217 over a little wall, and then he sits there for 5 minutes and does something. I think he's probably assembling some portion of the gun or something, and then he runs at 1222, sprints over, lies down, fires at 1223, and he's already off the roof in the same minute, 1223. And then he's across the street at 1224, getting rid of the gun. I mean, that's insane, right? So in a 2-minute window, he's takes off and starts running, and he's already across the street somewhere. That's insane. I mean, it seems like it had to have been really well, at least thought out and conceived of, to sort of be able to do that. Know what you're doing, and he got the hell out of there. It was so stupid of him to leave the gun there, but he probably thought, well, I don't want somebody to see me in these neighborhoods with all the cameras, because I don't have it stuck in my, it's not down my pants, so they'll see it on camera. So he hid it, and then he was going to go pick it up another day. As he mentioned, he said he was wanted to do surveillance on it.
Yeah. But anyway. True Vintage says, can you answer why there didn't seem to be any crime scene detail before they started moving stuff and packing up? Wasn't that an official crime scene? I don't have a good answer for you. I don't know if you do, Gray. I agree. It was odd that it looked like the Turning Point team started removing things, the camera, before the FBI or any other investigative body was there to, you know,
maybe they were sort of protecting something, not having like, there's a close-up shot of Charlie, and they were like, who knows, you know? Yeah, I mean, maybe they weren't thinking about that. They're just like, let's get let's get out of here. We got to get him to the hospital and take our stuff. But I guess why would you be thinking of that too? I mean, I'm not even aware of that element, to be honest. I just heard it just now.
Yeah, there's some video and photos of them actually, you know, cleaning things up, like literally moments after they got him to the evac vehicle. I noticed that. Yeah, I noticed that, and I thought it was strange as well.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, do you want what do you want me to show some of the? I mean, we could go over when he's on the roof if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go through what you got.
And there is new video. I don't know. Did you guys ever see this one? You know, this video. So this is one here. So we could take a look at this, and we actually have the time on this one. If you're, let's see, right there. So this is at 8:20. This is 8:23 in the morning. This is when his car drives by. So watch this right there. So apparently that's his vehicle driving by, and I know where this is, and it kind of doesn't fit very easily into the timeline, but then he drives by right there, and then in just a moment we'll see. Now he's walking into the screen, and then it pans out, and then we can see the time again, and now it's 9:57. So 8:23 drives by, and then he's walking around at 9:57. And what's weird is, I actually found that spot, and so here's where the surveillance that we've seen already is right down on this street, heading to the building, and then he goes in this tunnel right there. But up here is where that shot is. So that means it's looking like this from that house, and that vehicle either drives this way or turns, but it probably just goes straight. And then he walks like this, that direction. And so in relation to everything, that's kind of, I mean, just down the street is where the tree is, where he put the gun later. I'm still trying to work through what the hell this time frame up here means, because they say he's on campus at 8:29. So this is 8:23. The car drives by. So does he go to campus and then drive back over here and park, and then walk at 9:58 by the camera again? Yeah, it's pretty weird stuff.
So can you zoom in, Gray, on the wooded area that he supposedly dropped the firearm?
Yeah, right there. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And let me show you this.
It's really a clump of trees.
Yeah, it's just a wooded area. Nothing really. It's not a woods. So right there, that's that camera, right? So that's the 360-degree camera. That is. So if you go right to here, this is what law enforcement was looking at in their video. So that what they're doing to present to people is they're just panning around in the video. But this is what, if you were just looking in this direction, he came by right here on this grassy area, and then he went into a door that's right over here. And then so the door is right there, and then he comes up these stairs. And all the areas in this video, if you look up in the air that are brown, those are places that people can just hang out and stand around. So after he came up here at 12:15, he walks right over to here, and then there's even a wall there. It just didn't render on Google Earth correctly. So there's a wall there, and then he just steps over this wall, because it said it's on the north side of the wall. And then what a great little place to hide. You see how it kind of blocks both that direction. Yeah. So he sort of crouches down right here. And then from 12:17 to 12:22. And by the way, somebody sent me an image yesterday where they stuffed a rifle down their pants. I couldn't even see it. I mean, it was crazy. So they go all the way. So then right there at 12:22, he runs right over to here. And then you can see down at the stage, see how you can't see, but if you slide right over there's an angle. Boom. And that's when he shot. Then he stands up. So let's just go right in the corner, right there. And then from this position, he runs away like this, and then climbs down the backside, jumps off of here, and then he runs right like this. And all of this can be seen on the same camera. So they're just looking around, and they can see him go into the woods. you know, because look where that camera is. It's right here. So when it was when you can look this direction, you see him kind of go in there, and that's what made them look in those woods. So,
and as far as him concealing the firearm, one of the things that you pointed out in your video is, you know, he wasn't stuffing the firearm down his leg. It was basically down his back, to where we had some of the barrel coming down one of his, but the majority of the rifle was concealed in clothing and being held in place by the backpack.
Right. I see. Yes, exactly. I think the barrel is sort of right by his knee joint, just slightly down his thigh, I think, because that's why he can't swing his right leg forward when he's walking, because it's like a splint, right? So it goes up his back, and I think the backpack was actually worn because it would protrude. You know, if that gun was up his back and he's swinging his leg, it's going to want a tendency to push out his back a little bit. You know, a little bit, I guess. And so you'd think you just put the backpack to kind of block that look. I think it would look really suspicious if he was walking without the backpack. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree.
So I guess we could go over to like, why don't we watch? Let's just watch one of these ones where this one's a pretty good one right here, where you can really see like his right leg he doesn't swing it forward. See, like right there? That's it. Yeah. But the left leg goes way over there, right? So that means he can't do it, but he's using the backpack to block it. So how would you put it? Would you disassemble it a little bit yourself? Just because I heard there's only one screw on this that can take part of the butt off or something.
Yeah, I mean, typically rifles like that have action screws. I have to look at the Mauser's engineered, but typically you have 2 action screws that hold it to the stock. I have to look, like I said, there's being a Mauser, it might be constructed slightly different. And then of course you have, you know, Mausers have been being made for a really long time. Yeah, I'd have to look at see what that is. If it's 1 screw, I mean, that makes a little more sense, because one of the things that I did say long before I saw your video was it doesn't look like what he's carrying is a 43-inch rifle, because about the shortest version of the Mauser was around 43 inches. It looks shorter than that. And then also sometimes whatever he's carrying, to me, and it's just garbage video too, right? So we're zooming in, it's extremely pixelated. It almost looks like it's semi-rigid, like if there was 2 pieces in there. I think you're right. I think, you know, it's just really hard to see from video footage, but you know, compared to the dimensions of his body, a 40-inch rifle, it's hard to imagine and immediately like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That looks like a rifle.
Yeah, but you know, then when you see him on the roof, I guess that's kind of what we, you know, wanted to take a look at here. So you can definitely see it on some angles. So I guess we'll just watch it from over here. He's coming in from the side. This is really the only part that matters. And you can already see, like, right in some of these shots, there's some kind of like a towel, and he's really struggling, but we can't see like the barrel because it's so thin, and you know, you can barely even see his legs. Look how thin his leg is, and his leg's way thicker than the barrel. So you're not even going to be able to see it in this video. So you might only be able to see things like the butt of it a little bit at some points. I wish they would just give us the damn video instead of doing their own zooming. You know, that stuff pisses me off. But right here, so he's setting it down, and so right at this point, the barrel actually could be sticking out. We don't know. It could be back this direction, could be any direction. We just wouldn't see it. So he steps down. And then one of the, I think, really telling shots here is right there. I mean, look at that. What do you think that is? I mean, that's got to be. So look at that. It's on there, and his left hand sort of switches over to the right, and he kind of grabs it.
Yeah.
And there it is. I mean, that right there, you can see it's pretty big too. I mean, that's past his head and down to his butt area. See that? The length of that? I don't know if you can make that out.
And possibly even kind of passing through his or at around his knee at that point too.
Yeah, like right there. Yeah. So then he
Yep.
lets it down. I mean, I don't know if you want me to go through this slow. You want me to keep doing it, or
I don't know.
I don't care. I mean, it's like, I mean, to me, I've gone over this so many times. There's some, interesting shots where you can definitely make it out. I mean, look at that one, for God's sakes. That's his left leg, his right leg, and this whole thing there. See that? That's like the blanket, and inside of that is the rifle. And then, the problem we have is, like, we see a lot of the movement of the towel. So it's like, well, where's the rifle? He's moving around the towel, but then why would he be just playing around with the towel? I mean,
Sure.
there's definitely something there.
And what's the frame rate of this video?
Yeah, and it's only like, so right here, let's just do an example. So that's, let's just go to the that's a movement right there, okay? And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 5 frames a second. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 again. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That one's like 2. So there's a tons of frame. I mean, it's really, 30 frames a second, you can make out really good detail. This is, first of all, a 360-degree camera, and I think it's recording 24/7, takes up a huge amount of data. So they just set it down to that level, and you can still, see generally pretty well, even at 5 frames a second, but it's nowhere near as clear and smooth. And I think that would probably solve a lot of the issues that people are seeing if we had a 30 frames a second video, or even like 24. 15 would even be good. I mean, this is like, it's crazy.
Yeah. I'll throw up this a good comment. Kirk shot from an elevated position. Could the bullet travel from the neck to the scapula? That's a big bone. That might stop the bullet from exiting. The only issue that I have with that is basically the fact, again, the angle is not what we think it is. It's not like shooting. Think about that, folks. Like, he'd have to be up there. I don't know if you guys see this angle, right? But it's not. It's definitely more frontal than you believe, and the angle is not that steep. So the problem is, it's not like it's coming down at this huge angle. It's only 140 yards. The parabolic arc is not that severe. The angle is not that severe. So, like, if it was entering here, it wouldn't. I mean, it might be at most an inch further lower by the time it got to the back of his neck. So the idea that it comes in here and then enters and then exits back here and hits a scapula, I don't see how that makes sense ballistically. So
you had another super chat above it. You had a super chat above that said to you what was it? That you can see from a camera angle that they have the shirt, the exit wound. I mean, like, not a wound, but an exit.
Yeah.
I don't know where that was. Does anybody have that video? Well, I don't know if you can play it. That's too hard to
say that again, Gray. You were breaking up, and I'm sure it's my internet. I got like a separate freaking.
Yeah, you sort of froze on the screen for a second. Yeah, I was. Let's see. You had a super chat up there for $5 at some point that said that they have video where you can see the back of his shirt and the exit. I mean, I haven't seen that yet, but that's what somebody said.
I've looked at every back of the shirt picture video that I can find, folks. And if you got that, send that to services@ParamountTactical.com. I would like to see that, because I've seen, look, what we'd expect with an exit wound is that it'd be significantly larger than the entrance wound. It's going to be just as bloody. It would be significant. And if it's indeed a 30-06, I have no reason not to believe that, to believe it's not. Like, we're talking about a lot of expulsion of biological material. So we're talking, meat, blood, bone. I don't see, like, an exit wound would be obvious. So far I haven't seen any evidence of an exit wound, which is one of the problems that I have. And I know people have talked about a hollow point or a soft hunting point. We would still, it's, again, the human neck is very small. Even if it ran into the scapula, I would think that round would exit. It is a heavy,
that would be a severe angle too, wouldn't it? A ridiculous angle.
It would be a ridiculous angle, and that's the problem. Is that a lot of people think like, oh, he was way up here, like on, you know, some skyscraper or water tower. It is not that tall of a building, and it's far away. I mean, go get 140 yards away and then look at the 4-story window of something. Like that angle is not that steep. And I'm
I
sure
can
you
show
can
this angle right here if you want.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like, yeah, so it's kind of like he was down there and on a stage, so he's not like right on the ground, but you know, you just look at from way over here to down there. I mean, I would imagine that's, like you were saying, it's probably less than like probably, you know, 10 or degrees or so. You know, it's not really.
Yeah, I think it's actually less than 10 degrees.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's not a very steep angle at all. It would almost appear coming in straight.
Eric Dieter said, playing devil advocate, if the guy in the crowd had a silencer and that's all Tyler needed to do was just set one off in the air, time dilation, he wouldn't need to transport anything. If the guy in the crowd had a silencer. So first of all, and again, we talked about this. Look, for those of you, if you haven't shot a silencer, it's not that silent. Like you're not going to pull out a gun, even with a suppressor on there, and shoot, and people around you not realize what's going on. You would have to be in some sort of hidden position, and even then, it would be very questionable if you could get away with it.
And also, why would Tyler do that? Like, hey, I'm gonna go up here. Tell you what, I'll just take all the blame. I'm just gonna fire a shot in the air, and then we'll have somebody else on the ground that gets the kill shot in, but it's not me. And then because they're gonna do ballistics, right? And then they'll say, "See, it didn't match, so he couldn't have done it." Yeah, I guess that's what it will come down to, that, right?
Well, the problem is, like, I think you could make a case that there'd be people out there willing to do this, right? That, hey, look, you know what, you're going to be seen as a national hero. I don't know. There's a bunch of people out there that can be influenced into doing dumb shit. But if somebody is going to do this and they're going to blame it on Tyler, you need to be able to pull it off successfully. And so far, like a suppressed shot from a different angle that ultimately doesn't align with Tyler's ballistic trajectory, that becomes problematic. That means like everybody in the FBI is involved, everybody in the sheriff's department's involved, like multiple people out in the crowd are involved. Like you start, the medical examiner would have to be involved to like produce a document saying, hey, you know what, that bullet didn't come from straight ahead, it came up from off to the left or the right. Sure, I mean, I guess in some grand scheme of things, that complicated scenario could be possible, but it's so implausible that it's almost ridiculous.
Yeah. Hey, you know what I get a lot? You have a comment in here. It says, Gray Hughes is a government employee or contractor, so can't really trust this dude. Yeah, I get that comment all the time. People go that they think I work for the CIA.
I've seen his CIA creds. He's not.
Yeah, the checks aren't very big, but you know.
No, look, I mean, here's the problem, folks. You know, and I got the same thing when I was talking about different things on the Butler situation, which, you know, by the way, it really starts to, that's, you know, when you start questioning people's motives or integrity without any evidence, like there are definitely grifters out there. There's grifters out there. There's people that are trying to trick you. Like, I don't know, but that being said, it's so ridiculous. The problem is,
I would be like, so boring. I'd be so boring. You know, thing is, what I do doesn't sell as much. You know, like I just put out the factual information. A lot of people like it, but if I wanted to do that, I could sell. You know, with my video ability and stuff like that, I could sell crazy stuff and get like a million views, I bet, on a video. But I just wouldn't do that. You know, I'd have to believe it.
And folks, that is, go look at some of these other channels that are small channels that are pushing these conspiracy theories. They have 10 times the views that Gray and I do. It is so much more beneficial to jump on this crazy train than actually come out here and say, hey, you know what? Based on what we're seeing in evidence, this is what's real and this is what's fake. It doesn't, like, it's not as fun. It's not nearly as fun. You're not going to get near as many views. And then you got people accusing you of BS that, like, why? What is my motive to sit there and say, hey, you know what? So far, we only see evidence of one shooter. We don't see any evidence of a shooter from the crowd. I'm down with entertaining any of that stuff. Other than the only thing that I will not entertain that I think is disgusting is these sons of bitches out there that are talking about that Charlie Kirk faked his own death. I think that's disgusting, stupid. Like, if you believe that, I'm sorry, but anyone can convince you of anything. Like, you need to sit down and really think about, hey, I need to become a little bit more discerning and a little bit more skeptical of nonsense.
Yeah, and to be honest, like I think a long time ago when I used to do stuff, I was more susceptible to when somebody would say, "Ooh," I go, "Ooh, wow, look at that." But after a while, when you really start digging around, you realize that almost none of that stuff is true. So I always look at it from like you get the facts that are coming out, video evidence and things like that, and then put that together. And if you still see something that's weird and unexplainable, you might talk about that, but almost always eventually there's an explanation for that too. I mean, it's just the way it seems to always be. And I think tomorrow, I bet we'll get a whole bunch more video and different information tomorrow, because apparently there's like a court hearing, and I just feel like there's going to be a little bit of a dump of information. But how do we get to be TMZ and get video? Like, how in the hell did they get these videos from people? Like, what did they get a name?
Well, they're paying. Yeah, I mean, they're paying a lot. People know that TMZ will pay them to get them on the phone. Like, hey, I got this great video. You got 20 grand? I'll send it to you. And that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
The Modern Conservatives voice says, what do y'all think about the video conservative kid getting interviewed after and getting bombarded into silence by the same ones? Right group students need to be interviewed, including TPUSA and the security. I agree. I think I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what those people's motives were behind it. Maybe they were worried. I don't know. I don't think that should have happened.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what that. I don't really even know what that is referring to there. So
right after, there's some video floating around X primarily, where this kid was like, "Hey, I was right in the front row." He starts talking to, a YouTuber, a vlogger, or something along those lines, a civilian reporter, citizen reporter, and he starts talking about what happened, and then like he's kind of bum rushed by a bunch of probably 3 or 4 other teenagers about his age. Like, no, hey, we don't need to be talking about that. And I think the idea, what I thought was, it's stupid for trying to, you're creating a controversy that doesn't need to be created. But the other thing too, I think in their minds, maybe they were wanting to say that for law enforcement, because at the time, guys, we hadn't caught the shooter. So I can kind of understand where they're coming from, but at the same time, I think it was dumb.
Did you happen to see that that other video that's done sort of up in, I think it was filmed right over, well, you don't see my screen, but he was like right over
Yeah,
here.
I'll throw it up there.
Yeah, there was a video right here where there's a guy filming, and if it was a right angle, if they were just right over here, you could have seen the shooter, but they were actually talking here, and then the gunshot goes off, and it doesn't sound anything like, like the original shot sort of sounded like AR-15-ish, that little, sound or whatever. But up here, it's like boom, like a freaking like thunder. It's crazy. Have you ever seen that? Let me see if I can find that while we're just talking about it. I clipped it. Let's see. I'm just gonna look through different folders really fast. Was it that one?
While you're looking that up, Derek Tyler says Patel was muted at the presser because FBI rank and file told him the suspect was in custody. They knew he would jump on X. He had to retract. Cash mad.
Right. I just gotta look at a couple folders. I think it was like 2 days ago. That's weird. I played it last night, but I don't think it was. Let me just look this one more folder. Well, that's weird. Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, it's gone. But somebody sent it to me earlier today, and I'd already seen it. But let me see if maybe I'll go to my email and try to pull it up. But it's so loud. I mean, it is like echoes through the whole place, and you can even hear, like, the timing's off a little bit, but it's just like a huge boom, and everybody starts turning, and then you see him running because you're right at the top of that on that walkway there. I'm just trying to. I'm just looking for it in my email.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, one of the things that again that people need to realize, and this is coming from some of that videos a lot. And we talked about this in VFT. When you're videoing gunshots, like the audio is completely unreliable. Like the audio in this like compresses that so it doesn't clip. Does all kinds of weird things with audio, and audio is not a very good, I don't know, kind of indicator of what it may or may not be from a cell phone. You can get obviously some, you can definitely tell something, the difference between a 5.56 22 and a 30 cal if you're sitting there listening to it, but in audio it's much harder to do that.
Although I can't find that for some reason. Somebody said, was it in this video? No. It's one. There's a video that was taken on the roof by somebody walking around and asking people questions. And there was just groups of kids, and they'd be talking about. It was almost like how Charlie Kirk did it. They were just talking, and all of a sudden, boom! There's this huge shot, and for some unknown reason, the video must be a conspiracy. It's not in the folder anymore.
Let's see, Pat, I just looked at that video that you sent me. We and some other folks that I work with on X, we got a whole great bunch of folks that kind of do a lot. They don't necessarily want to get up here, but they do a lot of investigatory work on some of the footage and image. And we've been looking at that video, which shows something fly off behind him. I believe right now that there's a good indication that that is part of his necklace. I'm still having a hard time trying to what I don't think it is
so that if it was old enough that if it were taken.
I'm sorry. I found it and it started playing.
That's all right.
Let's see.
Pull that.
So like this one's pretty great. Can you hear the audio when I play it?
Yeah.
So that if it was old enough that if it were taken out of the
all right, so the shooter's just right over there, but this building here's too high to see him back there.
Just believe that they just.
All right, so hold on.
get closer? Are they like restricting you guys up here or what?
Nah, it's too crowded. It's just there's just so much. Before we had a flag and we had it so it's positioned above the tent so it would be in the camera. And they just moved.
What was that?
God! He just got shot! Holy shit! Holy shit!
There's been a shooting. We heard shots.
Pretty creepy, right? I mean, but did you hear that, Tom? That was a totally different sound. I mean, it doesn't sound like a little.
And this is a great example because he's probably using a much better microphone on that camera as opposed to a camera, the microphone on an iPhone.
Yeah, exactly. You want to listen to that again, just for?
Yeah, go ahead.
What was that?
God! He just got shot!
I guess we just
Before
missed
we had
it.
a flag and we had it so it's positioned above the tent so it would be in the camera. And they just moved.
What was that?
God! He just got shot! Holy shit! Holy shit!
I mean, so that just shows you. I mean, that's absolutely. I mean, that should change some minds of the people who think it's like something else. You know, I don't know.
Or a lower caliber rifle.
Yeah.
No, I agree. And again, that's the cleanest audio I've seen. And I think that is exactly that. He's probably got like a little Rode mic or some sort of, shotgun mic on top of that camera and just getting better audio. Leak Date said, if it was a clean shot to the neck, no body armor, how do you explain the shirt rise to the ear? I can't. And that's my problem is I still have an issue with the fact that there's no exit wound and that the shirt rises to the ear.
What about what I was saying? That like the shock wave, not the I saw your video. Like it didn't even knock over a cup, the bullet, or whatever, but like when it actually makes impact, couldn't the shockwave like go down his shirt and just kind of, you know, fling it up a little bit, I guess.
I don't
You
think
know,
so.
you know.
I know what you're talking about. So, you know, we're talking about a hydrostatic shock wave. So you got all this fluid that moves all around.
Mhm.
But the problem with that is like we'd have to have this fluid move down, and then your rib cage is there, and then it bubbles back up in some weird way. But then you have this one piece of fabric that kind of gets flung up at a very high point.
Mhm.
I don't think, you know, a hydrostatic shock actually explains that. You know,
What if there's better video out there? Because everything we keep watching, though, it doesn't even seem like it's. I mean, like the original, really clear version. Because remember that, you know, the one time where that little black object is, and it sort of seems to move across.
Yeah.
His throat almost, and then there's a hole right where the. See, for me, that's just the video trying to, at least that black part that moves across his neck.
Yeah, it's
like,
one of these.
Yeah, it's one of those.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's just a magnetic clip that goes on the back of Rode mics. Charlie, and this has been confirmed, Charlie records his own audio for his own production stuff as well as, you know, the hand mic that he's using just to be able to talk to everybody on the PA system. So that's one of those. I do think it looks weird. I do think that, you know, the idea is that this somehow turns into the wound. I think, again, you're talking about a low frame rate, something that's accelerating. I think it kind of goes out of view and it's just not tracked. It's odd. It's weird. But
you could, if it is a mic, you know, it kind of seems like it is. And the impact was the shock wave, and it just goes and it just disappears within like one frame, right? It's gone. It's out of there.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's the same thing that, you know.
Yeah.
I
don't know. I like knowing what this is, like a lot of time, like, I don't know, I guess trying to figure out where this goes. I don't think it's material to anything. Vernon, and I've heard this one a lot. Could it have been a ricochet from a low shot causing the bullet to tumble? A deformed 30-06 round would cause a large wound and no exit. I agree with the second sentence. I just don't know how that. What did it ricochet off of, and how was it so lucky that we have a ricochet and then it ricochets into the intended target to begin with? Like I just think the odds of that, is it possible? Yeah. Are the odds of that plausible? It doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, what do you think? I mean, let's just pretend that the shock wave or whatever created, like if a bullet came in right where it went in, yeah, right there, it would just go right out the back almost immediately, right? It would just, it's so thin, and there's probably, if it didn't hit his bone, it would just go right out, right? I mean,
yeah, I mean, you know, I think you're talking about, you know, a 30-06, which is more powerful than 308, slightly less powerful than 300 Win Mag. I mean, we'll go through both shoulder blades of a freaking deer. You know, and especially a human, which, again, there's not a lot of dense tissue right here. You would expect a pretty large exit wound. And you would expect a smaller entrance wound. And this is what was my point was why I came up with the idea, like, hey, there has to be body armor here. Again, I've said it before, it's the unifying theory. It's the one thing that makes all sense. It hits here, goes up at a more acute angle, and almost opens this up, right? So it's not just coming in here, moving tissue away where tissue closes back in on it, which is what we'd see with a gunshot wound. Almost always, you're going to see a gunshot wound the entrance wound is going to be significantly smaller than the caliber of the bullet. So for there to just be this gaping hole that eventually, you know, we see profuse bleeding from is odd. And then you see the shirt move, no exit wound, like the whole thing is odd. And I don't have a good explanation for it if he's not wearing body armor.
yeah, but now you don't think, we've just, you know, learned that you don't think that he's wearing body armor, right? Based on information that's out there.
Yeah. I mean, right now, again, there's somebody saying they've confirmed with someone that knows the surgeon, and that whole string of Here, well, I actually looked for it earlier. It's a tweet on X. It's a reporter. I can't even remember his name now. I'll pull it up.
Brian
But
Anthony.
he basically, no, it wasn't Brian Enton. This is
I
a
thought it
different
was.
one.
Oh, that's
the one that said he confirmed with the sheriff's department
Sheriff. Yeah.
that there was no body armor. There is a new video that literally was sent to me the moment we were getting on this thing. In my messages, Edith, Ryan Matta. You can go check that out. You know, I'll play this. You guys can take it for what it's worth. I don't think it's super compelling. We'll play it. You guys can judge for yourself what you think about the validity of this. Share my screen here.
And I'll read something too in a minute. Somebody sent me an email about what he thought he did with the gun and everything. He seemed like he knew what he was talking about. He wouldn't say who he was or something, but let's just see what you think of the same thing, if you don't mind, after you.
What else do we have up here? Oh, here we go. Let me remove that. There we go. All right. So you guys tell me what you think about this.
I'm sorry if I post something that is not accurate. I'm just trying to do my best to get all this information out there. But I want to talk about specifically about Charlie Kirk wearing a bulletproof vest. I now have from a confirmed source, which is what you're seeing right here on the screen. This is a message that I was sent on X. And then we also got into another conversation where he also reiterated the fact that his friend's dad is a surgeon at the hospital. Charlie Kirk arrived. The fact that his friend's dad.
Now, here's just, if somebody sent this to me, this is the problem that I would have with it. Yeah, someone I know is related to the surgeon that worked on him. So, you know, a friend of a friend's cousin's brother's uncle. So
that's pretty far away.
That you guys take that for what it is. I wouldn't take that as gospel, and I don't expect you to either. And right now, I think most of the evidence says that he was not wearing body armor. And
even though that answers the questions that you have, but maybe there'll be an explanation to the public of what we're seeing. Sure. But I got this email. Go ahead.
The only explanation that I have is that if he's possibly using frangible ammo, I think that it would be unlikely, like frangible ammo. I don't know if they make frangible in 30-06. They might. I think it would be very rare. And here's the other thing for people that are saying there's like some other conspiracy. It's, if you were creating a conspiracy, I think it's odd that they would pick a 30-06. There's just, it's currently one of the less prolific rifles out there. You would think they'd see 308, 5.56. If it was somebody wanting to create some sort of gun control, red flag event, you'd think you'd see them using 5.56. Or I don't know, maybe they're just playing some 4D chess shit, and they're like, let's go with 30-06. That'll be a weird one, and then we'll put frangible ammo in that. I'm sure you can find it. I think it would be very hard to find frangible ammo, and I think it's very unlikely that most people just have it on hand. But again, he may have been prepping for this for months. I don't know how long ahead of time that Charlie Kirk schedules out. Maybe he did hunt it down and find it.
Yeah. Let me read the thing. It says he took this. This is what he's saying. He took the screw out of the stock. When you do that, the trigger and scope stay on the gun. Scope screws are very small, and at least 4. No way did he remove the scope unless he had quick detachable rings. After he took the stock off, I think he put the barrel down his back, the back of his leg, and left the scope on to hold it above the belt. The stock would fit in his backpack. Once he got to a comfortable position on the roof there, he put the screw back into the stock, attaching the barrel to it. The scope and trigger stay on the barrel always, so the scope stays zeroed. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, it does, but I just looked this up. And I think this is what I thought to begin with. So I literally work on guns on the hero. I just happen to have 2 action screws right here. So it's actually 2 screws. It's not 1, just like I thought. I didn't know if there was some weird, German design that the Mauser has, but we actually have 2 action screws. So it's not just 1. So it is a little more time consuming and it's not just 1. We'll just leave it like that. But yes,
but other than that, it was pretty good though.
You could remove the action. It's a barreled action. So the barrel and the action and the optic are all one piece. And then now you have a stock left over. So you would cut that rifle. You would reduce its length by about 30-40%. So there's that.
So, yeah. And so that made sense, other than it would just take a little longer with 2 screws if there was 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And he had 5 minutes. He could do that, right? I mean, that makes sense. It was 12:17 to 12:22, and then he ran.
So the shot went off at 12:22, right?
Well, 23, but he started running from that position at 22 for 12:22. That spot that was over the top of. Do you want me to do like I could do like a quick? I can do the whole timeline thing in like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And everybody can just see these. Yeah. So let's just.
I think it'd be very illuminating for everybody. I'll add that to your stage.
All right there. So this is early in, we'll just forget the part earlier where he's walking around with his shorts on. So at 11:48, he's right here on this street, walking by. He's seen on this camera, and then right around the same time, 11:49-ish, he's walking by this camera, right here, and then he takes a right turn. You see it on the camera. Walks across this little bridge here, goes into this parking lot, and then this tunnel here is this image right here. That's what this is. He's going down that tunnel, and he stood at the top of the tunnel, and he was using his phone for a little bit, and then he put his phone in his pocket, and that's what this is, right? They said he put his phone in his front right pocket, and so that's what that is. He's going down into that tunnel there, and then we don't know, that's where we lose him. Like, we don't get to see where he went, but he comes out over here, and that's after we have this shot here, and that's also the phone right there. That's not his knee. Okay, and then this is him near the top of those steps, and then he's about to turn and go up another flight of stairs, and then this is something that's sort of interesting. Like, what's that? Like, kind of poking out the back of his leg, because he's still got the rifle in his right leg. They say he's limping the whole time. So at that point, it's somewhere along the way to get over to here. But then at 12:02, which is only, I think it's 9 minutes after he went in the tunnel, he goes in the door right here. And then 13 minutes after that, whatever he was doing in there, we don't know, but he goes up this set of stairs. And it's a different set of stairs because he's turning to the right, not to the left. So he goes up these stairs here, and that's at 12:15. And then he stands right over here for 2 minutes. He's probably trying to act like a normal person viewing. He's looking around. Then he quickly jumps over here, and that's at 12:17. So he sat there for 2 minutes, jumped over this little wall.
Ray, real quick, go back. There's just open access to the roof there.
Yeah. Right here.
Oh.
So you go up these stairs, and this brown area, anybody can be standing on any of this brown area anywhere. That's what that is. And there's a wall there that's it didn't render on their 3D thing.
Sure,
but there is a wall there.
Like a couple feet tall, right?
Yeah, so you could go over either one, but in this case, he stepped over this one, and he's just kind of crouched down there for 5 minutes, and that might be where he did stuff with the rifle. And then right at 12:22, apparently runs over, lays down, and fires at 12:23, killing Charlie Kirk. And then he gets up really fast, and he runs this direction. So he had no time to disassemble anything. Yeah. And then he climbs down this side of the building at 12:23, and then he runs this direction. We see him, he's fiddling around with the weapon, and then he goes across the road here, and they see him go into this wooded area, and that's where they found the rifle. And then from there, he somehow makes it. So if you're just looking at it like that, he makes his way back over here again, and he runs right there. And apparently that's at 12:29. I mean, isn't that just crazy? Like, 12:22, 7 minutes later, he's almost all the way back, way over here near a car. You know, I mean, I don't know where he parked, but I have a feeling like he parked 2 different places during that day. Like one time way up in here and down here. But what I just showed you is really just kind of a simple timeline. It's crazy. Like once he made it, he said, okay, I'm doing it now. At 12:48, he starts walking and he's already off the roof at 11:48, he starts walking, and then at 12:24, he's already off the other end of the roof running. You know, I mean, it's wild. But the part that's really creepy is how quickly the moment of the attack that we were talking about earlier, that he literally from 12:22, he goes from here, shoots and kills, and at 12:23, he's already climbing off this end of the roof. Like literally like a minute and a half total from running, lays down, fires, and then runs over there. I mean, so there you go. That's it. I mean, it's kind of a simple, situation where you can just explain it.
Huh.
Yeah. I mean, do you have any thoughts on it?
No, I mean, that makes, yeah.
I mean, it makes sense, but it's just kind of like, wow. I mean, it's sort of like we don't know what he was doing inside the building, walking around, those kind of things. But they have him on camera coming out and then jumping over that little wall. And then he's still limping, by the way. They say when he gets to the top of the stairs and he's moving around, he's still limping. And it's only after like when he's right over here, he's still limping, and he's limping. And it's only after he stood up from here and ran that his limping stopped. And he started running because he take the gun out of his pants at that point, right? So it's all in the probable cause. If you marry that up with the known video and data, it's like, oh, yeah, okay. Everything makes a lot of sense.
No, I mean, I think that's because that's where some of these like conspiracy theories and things like that originate. I've seen it mentioned several times, like, well, how did he get, there had to be some sort of security card access to the roof, all these things. And now we see that there's not. What I do find interesting, and it's one of these 2020 after the fact type of things, is we see portions of the video that you played earlier where the cops had the immediate elevated portions roped off. It's crazy to me that they hadn't roped off the stairs or had anybody posted up there where you could clearly get access to the roof just by walking up a set of stairs and then stepping over what looks like a 2 or 3 foot wall.
I think he went there. I think he had to have gone there on another occasion. But like this morning, I don't think he could have done enough scouting to get it down that well that day. I think that day he was there sort of verifying, making sure everything's still in position. What do you think about that? Because it's too much.
I mean, it's classic pre-attack surveillance, right? So, I mean, I think you're right. I think there was definitely some planning involved here. Real quick, a couple of questions. Josh B, do you think it's possible the bullet clipped the tent frame and keyholed into him? Could be why there's no pass-through and huge entry. I think it's unlikely, especially on that video. Well, here, I still have it here. Like,
does keyhole mean? Does that mean like it's rotating the bullet? Keyholing?
So it's basically hitting the target broadside, right? So it looks like a keyhole as opposed to just a bullet hole.
Yeah.
So I don't even think it would necessarily even be keyholing at that point. Again, we have probably with 30-06, you're looking at around 140 grain up to 220 grain, traveling 2,500 to almost 3,000 feet per second. It's gyroscopically stabilized. If it hit that super soft aluminum tent structure, if it hit one of the struts in that, and in that distance, we're talking about probably 10, 15 feet before it would hit him. I doubt it would even keyhole, and I don't even know that it would deform its trajectory hitting one of those soft pieces of aluminum. It could. It's not crazy. I think it's a decent theory. That is possible. But again, what it doesn't explain is the shirt movement, his body movement. If anybody looked at that footage, especially from the side, and you didn't know anything else stopped at impact, you'd be like, hey, it looks like he's getting hit in the chest. His shirt moves upward. There's a lot of weird things going on that just don't make sense to me. Caspian says, I don't like saying it, but it's very likely that it's not hollow point frags. Then it's likely bone. If 2 to 3 ribs is hit at the speed, pieces are flying everywhere, 30-06 with shatter collars and ribs, collarbones and ribs. I agree with what you're saying. I mean, there's no indication that it hits ribs. I'm not 100% sure what you're trying to have me visualize there. This is a good point. Gravy Train Outdoors, have you looked at it from the perspective of the bullet failing on impact? Hunting bullets do fail. I've had bullets fail and blow up in 2 to 3 inches. Yeah, but you're usually talking about something like, I mean, the skin texture and everything else much more dense on game to begin with, whether we're talking about deer or anything else. And I don't see a bullet failing on a human neck the way that you're talking about. It's not completely impossible. I don't know. It's better than any of the theories that the security team was involved. I do think that.
You know what that sucks for me? It's like, I mean, I look at all these images because I do true crime. Like we see, you know, I try to recommend, like, you probably don't want to see some of these videos, you know, but I saw it. But what sucks for me is now every time I watch Charlie Kirk's Turning Point videos, I just keep, that always pops in my head like, oh, you know, that's where he got shot in the neck. And, you know, I sort of visualize it again. You know, I'm trying to watch a whole bunch of them, so I sort of think of that more than I think of the shooting.
Yeah,
but it's
no, I think this was, I think just about everybody out there has now seen him killed right in front of everybody. It was traumatic for everybody, especially for those of you out there like me. I'm a huge fan of Charlie Kirk. I've been following him for a long time, and you know, you feel like you know that person.
Exactly.
And it is as traumatic. Aeon's check email. Seems like it exits out the back shoulder, which causes shirt to fling around his neck. So, Gray mentioned this earlier. I do agree that, like, and we shot. I got ballistic dummies. I've shot with shirts on and everything else. Like, the shirts don't move because of a bullet. It goes right in and out of it. I don't care if something moves on the back of his back. I don't care if anything moves. Of course, some things are going to move. The only, like, we would see evidence of an exit wound. Like, there would be blood, there would be debris, there'd most likely be a significant amount of spray that you would see. His primary bodyguard was right behind him. I would expect to see him covered in tissue and blood. Even on, you remember the footage, Gray, of oh God, I'm just having a brain fart. The Trump shooter,
yeah,
Crooks,
Thomas Crooks. Yeah.
You remember when he got hit, and we saw a significant amount of spray. We saw hair fly up. Like, there was, it's fairly traumatic, right? And that was a 300 Win Mag, which is, you know, pretty similar, slightly above a 30-06.
Did you ever see that one video I made? It was pretty cool. I slowed it all down on the ground, and you could see this one guy on the ground was aiming up there. He was just looking at him through the scope, and he went to the sniper who shot him. It was really, it's amazing the stuff when you slow it all down and kind of, I don't know. I use stabilization. I've ever shown you, you could do it yourself in a Premiere. You know what you do is you take the video on the screen and you use a one of those, like a
screen recorder,
like one of these, right? I use this right here, right? And I put it, I actually find a little an item, like a corner of something, and I draw it on there. And then I go frame by frame, and I keep moving the frame back so that item is right in that little spot. And then you do it, takes like 2 hours. And when you're done, you have this completely stabilized, way better than the stabilization works in the program. And man, you just see everything.
What I do, Gray, is I wait till you do that, and then I just screen rip your video.
But I want to. But the thing is, I want to do it from you. Okay. You do it first, you know.
No, I did see your whole timeline of the Crook shooting. It was really good. I think you did, and that's again one of the reasons I want to have you on tonight, folks. If you're not following Gray, you need to go follow him. I think he's exceptional. The best that I've seen on YouTube of really breaking things down. You guys see all the imagery and the timelines that he puts together. He's really good at it. He's been doing it a long time. He puts a lot of work into each of these videos, and I don't think there's any. You're not going to get a clearer picture from anybody when it comes to breaking down events and timelines like you do from Gray. So we're glad you are out there doing what you do, Gray.
Well, thank you.
Making millions as a YouTuber.
Oh yeah, millions. That's what they say. You know, the numbers people think that they try to say that you make. Man, you guys make a 200 grand a video. Man, these are, you know, it's like, no, we don't. You can do pretty well on videos sometimes if you get one that's sort of, you know, 50,000 or plus views, and you might, you know, depending on how long they watch. Like I'll make a 15-minute video and I'll get 6-minute average watch time. And then there's questions under the video that I answered in the video. You know, it's like, hey, why didn't you watch the video? Then you wouldn't have had to ask that. Maybe I should have made it more interesting.
No, I mean, you always make it interesting. Hey, Scott, several people have mentioned the earpiece, and I think you guys are on to something. I'll definitely be looking at that, and I think it's probably the best explanation that I've heard so far. Because I couldn't wrap my head around the idea of how a necklace would go flying through the air the way that it did. It makes a lot more sense to me that is indeed the earpiece. So for those of you saying that, I appreciate that. I think that's probably definitely the best explanation I've heard so far. And then if that was going underneath the shirt, maybe it did pull the shirt up. I like where you guys are going with that. And that's why these types of live streams where we have you guys on are extremely productive, I believe.
And by the way, you guys freaks out there, go subscribe over there to Gary over at Paramount Tactical. He's yeah, go ahead. No,
I was just gonna say, if you guys haven't liked the videos, subscribed, all those stuff, threw some comments down, make sure you do that. Thunder Cheeks, I like that name. I sent a video on Instagram to Gary. Can you please prove me wrong? I'll check it out. I'm not here to prove it.
You know, it's weird. Whenever they say Gary, I think they're to me. Even though my name's Gray, but everybody calls me Gary. Anyways.
That's fair.
No, but you called me Gary. Remember on the first show that we did?
No, I didn't call you Gary. I called you Hughes because I thought your first name was Hugh.
Oh, something like that. Yeah, but it was cool. You gave me that shout out the other day where you called me. You said Gray because he called me Gary, I think, or somebody.
Yes, he did. He did call you Gary. I'm looking at my IG chats. I'll have to go through. I got a bunch of. I got to go in and approve. I'll check that out. Thunder Cheeks.
So what do you want to talk about just for? I don't know if you have much more time, but like the. No, I got the new videos.
I thought we said we were doing a 12-hour marathon.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, so if you look at
real quick, let me just hit this since I have it up. Channing to Jay-Z says there's a guy in the orange shirt after the shot was fired, running with a pistol. After the shot was fired, was running with a pistol. Yeah, so I did see that guy. I think that guy. Look, that campus you can conceal carry on. I'm sure there's hundreds of guns in that crowd. I think that guy stupidly pulled out a gun without first identifying a target. And I think that's a bad practice. But yes, there is video of that guy doing that. I'm sure that guy has been, well, it's likely that he's been questioned. Other than that, I don't see any evidence that he was involved in any other way, but I understand where you're coming from. Let me put this back up. Yeah.
So it's really interesting timelines out there. I mean, Candace Owens said that this video down here was 8:29 or something, where the one where he's wearing the shorts. But or not 8:29. I can't remember what time she said. I don't even know where she got her time. But you know, in this video here, we have the vehicle driving by at 8:23, and they say that in the probable cause document that like at 8:29 or so, the vehicle is showing up on campus, and they see him get out because they see his shorts and everything. So he's walking around, and so it makes me wonder if, you know, so he drives by here. We don't know if he went. I don't think he went down this cul-de-sac here. He could have though. But he probably drove over and parked somewhere and then walked over to the university, but they saw his car. So did he drive up here and then park in there and then go inside one of these buildings over here, walk around? And then later at 9:58, we see him walking like this. So you would think that that would mean that he parked up there, but somewhere, and then he's walking. But that's an hour and 30 minutes after his car drove by, and we know that he was on campus at 8:30. So why is he walking down a street over here at 9:58? You know, he's actually going like this. You know, he's not too far from that wooded area at that point. You know, he obviously hasn't thrown anything in there yet, but maybe he already had that planned out. And so I would think he may have walked down like this. And then I think that that might be when we see him on this camera here, walking by, but with that time. But I mean, is he going back to the building again? It gets really confusing because see, you have this one right here. Let's see. Yeah, this one. So you got the basketball hoop shot, and this one. Yeah, that's the same one with the basketball hoop. So there he is walking. See that?
Yeah.
And so he's walking there, but it's crazy. I don't know what time this one is. You know, this other person said it was like 9 something or 8 something in the morning. But then why is he walking? It's just really, I need more video. It's really frustrating though.
What I will say compared to the Butler, Pennsylvania situation is I do think we have more cohesive information much faster than we did from Butler, Pennsylvania. For better or for worse, don't you think?
Yeah, I think it's great because I mean that's what Kash Patel and all of them said that they were going to be doing. You know, and boom, it seems like we're getting a lot of stuff. I mean, I wish they would be the ones putting out the surveillance footage. I don't really understand why we can't see all of the surveillance footage inside the building and any footage that they have outside. I would love if they just put a presentation together and showed us the entire movement. I mean, that'd be amazing. You know?
Yeah, I mean, to play devil's advocate, number one, first of all, folks, you know, I'm super disappointed in the speed at which, and not just on this, but a lot of things when it comes to the Trump administration. I was expecting a lot more action on many different topics, including the Epstein files, J6, all those things. So I'm not carrying water for the Trump administration right now because I think that Kash Patel and Dan Bongino are not doing the job that I was expecting them to do. That being said, to give them playing devil's advocate and give them the benefit of the doubt, it has been barely 5 days. So, you know, I think we're definitely have gotten a lot more information much faster than we did with the Butler situation under the Biden administration, like light speed faster.
And I thought it was a little bit, I didn't like when Patel, he put that Twitter post that said, the subject is in custody of the shooting of Charlie Kirk. And then the next day, well, we let him go because it wasn't him. Well, he worded it absolutely that they had the guy. And you just don't do that, man. That was an absolute, unforced error there. You just say, just like the governor said, we have a person of interest in custody currently. We'll let you know if it, pans out. Instead, he's like, we got the guy almost, Didn't say that exact words, but the wording he used sounded like they definitely had him. But like, see, there he is walking right here. And this is at 9:57 in the morning. So what is he doing at this point? Like, is he, I mean, this is a weird time frame for me because he's already been to the school.
The parallels of Butler, where you
Mhm.
had crooks walking around prior to it. It's a little uncanny to say the least.
Crazy. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, he was walking through the fairgrounds. You
Yep.
see him on some videos, and yeah, and then over. Yeah, crazy. I mean, I guess when you put together surveillance, I guess it's just sort of the look of it's all the same. I mean, that's what's weird. It's not crawling around on a roof. You got a grainy shot from over there. So I don't know why this video. If this video had surveillance on it or the time, it would have been absolutely useful. But we don't know what time. I could probably figure out the time in a program that I've got though, called 3D Studio Max, where you can put the actual date in, and then you put a image of the Google Earth,
Shadows.
north and south, and then you just you put different times in until you get the shadow where it's exactly like that angle, and then you can get it really close within like 15 minutes. Maybe I'll do that.
Did you find the location? Do you know what this location is?
Oh yeah, see both of these shots are, and look how accurate this is. Watch this. Here, check this out. It's actually kind of crazy. See the what do you call it? Repair lines on the cement there. Look at that little shape. Now watch the right there, and then here's that square that goes inside of the other one. So they've got all that. That's right here. So on Google Earth, that's this one, and then the shot that TMZ originally put out is this one right here, and that's where he's running up, walking back there, and then kind of sprints down right in this area. So those are back to back, the timing. So he goes right from here to here, and then that's when he's right there at 11:53. So when you put them all together, it's 11:49 right over here, 11:40, getting close to 11:49, and then he walks over there and he makes it to this area at 11:53, and that's when he's on his phone, and then he goes down the stairs into the tunnel.
Now, Ray, can you show can you show where he was leaving in that back area? Can you show the path to the wooded area where he stowed the firearm?
You mean like right here?
Yeah. Okay, so that's where it was, and then can you take us along kind of like a pathway from where we see him again leaving in that kind of sandlot area?
Yeah, so it's sort of, I mean, that's the thing. We don't know exactly, like, did he go through here and then,
right.
I mean, the thing is there's a little spot right there that kind of looks like a continual path that goes around. As a matter of fact, you can see it.
Yeah.
So maybe just from that spot, just kind of made his way down and then knew where he was going. But it's interesting that he went this way, because that would mean to me that his car, that's why I squared off that it's over here. Because if his car was parked way up there, why would he run down like this and then go back up that way? Right? So he must have moved the car. Still, I guess what we could say is maybe they saw his car at 829 on campus, and then he drove it down here somewhere, and then he walks all the way back up here to campus. But then I'm not sure why he would cut back in so far away from where the shooting took place up here. Like, why is he walking right there? I mean, that's what's interesting to me, stuff like that. Like, just sort of like strategically, what the hell is he doing walking way up here down the street when the crime's over here and he walks a whole bunch over there? So, and this is at 9:58. So now we're getting, within an hour and I guess another hour and 40 something minutes, but he spent a lot of time there prior, almost 4 hours.
And he's walking around the whole time with a gun down the back of his leg. That is interesting. I'll throw up the super chat. Wayne Hodgson says, I'm just spitballing, but subsonic round, wad cutter, you could hand load a round with even less powder if you wanted energy dispersed into a target. I don't know, man. I don't think it was subsonic because just how loud the gunshot actually was. Could it be a wad cutter? Maybe. I don't know. I
mean, just when now that you hear the audio and you see kind of, they have them on camera running up there, it just seems like this, 100 38 yards or whatever the hell it is isn't very long, right? With that type of a rifle.
Yeah.
And a scope is probably a pretty easy shot. Like you could, just scope it in and shoot. Right.
That's not, anybody can make that shot literally with 2 minutes of training. Fluffy Maine Coon says, if it was a late model K98, could the barrel have been spent in the round keyhole before it hit? If you have a shot out barrel, and if it's keyholing, I think it's going to start doing that long before, like, I wouldn't expect him to actually hit the target with that, but it could become destabilized depending on how much throat erosion is going on and things like that. Maybe. I think it's a good a theory as anything.
What happens if you cut like 5 or 6 inches off the end of a barrel or the stock, I guess? The part that goes on your shoulder. I don't know what the actual term. I think that's right.
Talking about the barrel or the stock? The
stock, right? So let's say you cut like 4 inches off of that just to make it shorter. Can you still, put it against you and it will still work, or is it all kind of
I mean, it makes it a little harder to mount the rifle properly, but I mean, it doesn't affect function whatsoever. I keep seeing this. I believe your shot from the right wound is the exit. All right, that does not look like the exit wound of, definitely not 30-06. All right, and I, like, we don't have any. Gray, do you see anything that indicates that we have a shooter on his right and that it's fired from the right? I don't. And even the movement, if we watch the movement, especially from the side, it looks like the movement is linear in basically coming from his 12 o'clock. So I don't see anything. And now I know people have said, here's where that comes from, guys. Some people are saying, hey, he fell off to his left. Okay. Well, if I'm sitting in this chair and I happen to be leaning this way and I'm shot directly forward, all right, and then my body goes limp, I'm going to fall to wherever my center of gravity is, even if or the chair moves or whatever else. Like I get hit this way, I come back, I go limp, wherever my center of gravity happens to be going is the direction I'm going to fall. Like, people don't always fall in the direction in which they were shot. I mean, that's just, that's part of it too.
And also he got hit on the left side of his neck, and he went in that direction. So that, and the angle, I mean, the angle is sort of more not, it's really degree wise, 2 degrees from right to left. And it hit him on the left side though. And of course, at that point, all the momentum would be on the left side. I'm going to think that would probably knock you off to the left, wouldn't it?
I mean, the thing is like he rebounds too, right? So he comes, like, you see his whole chest go up and then he comes back forward. I mean, I think it would be just as likely that he would kind of bounce off his chair a little bit and go forward. Like your body, typically, especially if you have a gunshot through and through, your body's not absorbing a lot of energy. Whereas we don't have an exit wound, so his body does absorb a lot of energy if that round is still inside him. But I don't know that there's a lot of other factors that would definitely affect in which direction he'd fall. So I know people are saying, hey, he fell to his left, so clearly he got shot from his right. Well, that's not true. There's a lot of other things going on there that I think would play a part in that.
I mean, you could have gone anywhere. Is basically what you're saying. It's just, you're kind of just there, and then I think he died almost, almost instantly. Like I think just, I don't think he was even awake at that point.
Well, I think no matter what, a 30-06 round right there with the hydrostatic shock that it's going to create is just going to completely devastate his spinal cord at that point. And there was actually there's a neurosurgeon on Instagram. He's put out a lot of good content. I actually reached out to him. I'd like to get him on the show to talk a little bit about it. But there's lots, just about every post I've seen from credible surgeons, neurosurgeons. Everybody said that, like, hey, you know what, he was lights out immediately. And I could tell, like, from that video, like, the way that he seizes up, and like there was just no coming back from that. Andy Konetsky says, have you seen the theory of the phone gun? There is a person in the crowd in a white shirt that makes shooting gestures with their hand arms exactly when Charlie gets hit. I've seen, I don't know which guy exactly you're talking about, but so far, like the two people, like the security guy that supposedly has something under his arm, if you're going to have enough energy to do what happened to Charlie, like there's going to be some sort of recoil. I don't care if it's an air gun. I don't care if it's, I don't know, whatever, anything short of a laser beam, which there would be indications of that too. Right. But I just don't buy the iPhone gun or anything else. And then again, like we get into this conspiracy land. What's the guy on the roof doing? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. You know, the weird part is sometimes people are scratching something on their arm and that's a shot, you know, it's like they go, oh, you know, look at that. He's got a gun. And, you know, it's like, it just gets kind of crazy after a while. I mean, every single movement's been scrutinized by every single person standing around. I'm not saying, you know, that some of them aren't reasonable, like some speculate, you know, you're looking at it going, that's weird. And what did it turn out to be? Aren't they, his security people, aren't they like hand signaling to people, kind of like baseball, like, hey,
could be,
you know,
or I don't know, maybe the guy just freaking, I do that a lot. Like,
I know. I get it.
Like
yeah.
you know, that's what the guy behind him did. You know, the problem when you start over analyzing or just analyzing events like this, you got to start figuring out what the difference between is. You have peculiar events or strange events that you perceive strange, and then there's like suspicious actual events. And you know, you know, one of the things that I used to teach for a federal agency was surveillance, and so we teach people how to detect surveillance. We take them to a shopping mall, and we'd have our own surveillance out there, and they were supposed to be detecting our surveillance. And we'd get done with that exercise, and people would come in and be like, "Oh my God, I saw so much weird stuff," and they'd have a list of people and descriptions, and like none of them are actual surveillance guys, right? So once you start looking for things, your eyes open a little bit, and like there's weird shit going on around you at all times.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do have these events, now we take these people are weird, they do weird things at times,
right.
and then we start correlating them to the event that took place when there's no real relationship to them.
You know what would be a good experiment that I think would work? You take one of Charlie Kirk's other things that he did and then say, look what we found, this video that was taken on the site. It's kind of zoomed in, and I bet you people would find tons of sus stuff in that video, even though it's not even related at all. It's just in one of his other events, but you'll see somebody going like doing something, and you know, it's assigned to a nefarious meaning. You know, one of these days there'll be a case where it'll be the dream for all the conspiracy. It'll be real. There'll be something extra, and I'll see it too with you guys, because that'll be something that'll be actually seeable. I'm not, you know, in this case, the conspiracy to me would be online, that there's people, like apparently there was 20 people in a chat room with him, and he did confess in there. He said, I did it, and he said he wanted to take his life. He felt really shitty about it, he actually said. Apparently that was was
part of him getting caught.
Yeah. So that was in the media. I think it was out in the media today that he actually, I was on Fox News. They said that he said that he was, he said it was me, and that he felt really bad for what he did. They said, which doesn't.
This is actually a really great point that Kyle points out. So from the little research I did, law enforcement hasn't confirmed the picture that the media put out at the rifle. The picture of the rifle was the one that was actually used. That's actually a pretty good point. And this is something I've talked about, and I actually I got roped into, like, we got to be careful about all this information that does get put out, and make sure it's vetted and all those other things, right? So I saw a video where they showed the features, and I'm sure many people have, and I got sucked in for like 30 seconds. And I was like, hold on, this doesn't really make sense, but there's a bunch of pictures going around the internet of supposedly
In the
footage
box.
or pictures, pictures of Tyler in the building, and it doesn't look like the facial features are completely incorrect. It's come to find out after a little research, it's an AI generated photo. So like, especially in the world of AI, like, you guys got to be discerning, be skeptical and all of those things, because you'll get sent down some rabbit holes real quick.
Yeah. That was kind of weird that he was being the question, somebody in my chat over here, about the questions he was being asked at the time. I mean, but that's a common, the transgender issue is sort of a bigger, something that's talked about often in the, Kirk's events, because that's an issue, right? I mean, it's something that people talk about. My like I've said a million times, my only issue, I don't care what people want to be or do. It's just, competing in women's sports. That's where, I just absolutely say that's ludicrous. I don't even know how that became a thing. It's almost insane that became something that was happening, and hopefully it just goes away.
Jimmy Boy in the South, hey brother, just send you an email with 2 links to the videos. Might want to check it out real quick during the live. The problem is, Jimmy, is I've gotten about 80 emails during this live. I'm looking for your name specifically or some indication, and I will be, especially as we start looking through this and during these times that Gray is pulling up stuff. I have been looking through email, but again, I got like at least, I mean, it's probably over 100 actually. So I will be going through those, but we'll probably have to cover some of the stuff Wednesday night. Real quick, Melton said, good point about the angle. Hughes, talking about the frame rate and comparing the size of leg was a light bulb moment for me. Can they give up better quality video and just rushed pushing it out? Gray, I'll let you answer that. What do you think do you think there is a better quality video out, or is that as good as we're going to get?
Well, we already lost quality once they put it onto YouTube. Yeah. So there is a clear version that they get to see. I guess what they could do is export, if they could somehow export. I think it's going to be tough because, I mean, I use 360-degree video, but that's a much larger, different type of 360-degree video. I mean, I can film the same exact area. It's just, I think that must be more, like mine's 8K, what I use. So maybe they do have that. I just can't see. I don't know how they could get it to us any clearer. It's like if they recorded, maybe if they recorded it in 8K as a square image, like the way we look at it. Yeah, it could be clear, but I don't know.
Well, and the problem is too, like, I have a couple 360 cameras as well, and it might be 4K or 8K or whatever it is, but again, that sensor's taken up. It's looking at everything. So when you start zooming in on specific areas, the image you're getting is not close to 8K. And I doubt it's unlikely they probably had 8K. Those are probably 4K cameras at best, if not like 2160 or something like that. But yeah. No, I mean, hopefully they will. Amanda says, what's the reason he had a screwdriver if not assembling something like a weapon? I think that's what we're saying, is that he did assemble the weapon. He may have had that, just the barreled action in one piece, and then like his stock in his backpack. So you have a one piece, which is just the action and the barrel together like this. It's going to be, about 30 something inches or so. And then you attach the stock. And I think that's what we're basically saying, is that while he was kind of in defilade behind that wall, he's assembling the stock to the barreled action. Is that kind of where we're going with that?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. And I think if he did take the stock off, if he didn't have the backpack on, there'd be this weird spike sticking out of his back. Like the lower, don't you think? Like the lower portion of his back, there'd be like this little thing sort of jutting up through his shirt, kind of. If he didn't have the backpack on, you have the backpack on, you can't see it. It's just sort of like, I think that's exactly why I did it. Because what else is in the backpack other than, I mean, I guess if you put the the butt in there, but also he had the black towel in the backpack.
Yeah.
So that's in there. I mean, so that's what we know for certain. And then he changed his clothes at some point too.
The Rennie, we did cover this earlier on, actually twice. So I would go back when this posts and watch it. Gray breaks that down, or you can go to his channel right now. He has a really good breakdown, and he kind of explains that yes, he definitely did. It definitely looks like he has the rifle when he jumps off the roof.
Yeah. And he didn't have time to break it apart, so we have to assume that it's all there. It's just you can't see it because it's so thin. If you look how thin the legs are in some shots, he looks like, I mean, like some weird character out of a weird movie or something. I mean, just like they're pencils. But then the next frame, they look normal again. So it's hard to tell. What do you think? Do you think my buddy Zozo in the chat over here said, I think the roommate has to have known something. And the reason I think that is because why would you ever send messages to somebody saying, yeah, so I threw the weapon in the woods and then that's like continuing a conversation. That'd be really amazing if he didn't know. Or
yeah, I agree. I think the roommate knew. I think that's, I don't think it's plausible they didn't. I mean, it's possible, but I do think that he did.
We could play the really quick what Cash Patel said today. I got it shortened down to like a really minute.
Yeah, play that. I've also
read
in the chat that he said he confirmed that there was no body armor on from Cash Patel. I haven't heard that, so if you got that or whatever, you got, go ahead and play it.
I don't have that, but that'd be cool.
Once I got there, along with the deputy on
you
the
can.
ground,
I have it on screen if you want to do it. It's not. It's not.
Nope.
It's just.
on the around 5 p.m. local on September 11th was walk the entire crime scene, including the foots the suspect himself took. And what we learned was there was evidence, DNA evidence that could be collected and had been collected, including a screwdriver that was found on the rooftop. Also, we went over to the scene in the wooded area where the firearm was discarded. And the firearm had a towel wrapped around it. It's important. I'll get back to that later. And I can report today that the DNA hits from the towel that was wrapped around the firearm and the DNA on the screwdriver are positively processed for the suspect in custody.
So earlier somebody said that it sounded vague if it was connected. That's absolutely clear that the DNA is attached to the suspect.
His family has collectively told investigators that he subscribed to left-wing ideology, and even more so in these last couple of years. And he had a text message exchange, he the suspect, with another individual, in which he claimed that he had an opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and he was going to do it because of his hatred for what Charlie stood for. I'm sorry. So what I'm able to say is I addressed it partially earlier, is that the written note, we believe, what did exist. And we have evidence to show what was in that note, which is, and I'm going to summarize, basically saying, the suspect wrote a note saying, I have the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it. That note was written before the shooting. Evidence of its existence, we now have learned, existed before the shooting, was in the location in the suspect and partner's home. But we have since learned that the note, even though it has been destroyed, we have found forensic evidence of the note, and we have confirmed what that note says because of our aggressive interview posture at the FBI.
So that's pretty good. I mean, they got back around, found a note that he threw out, and sounds like this is just going to be a simple prosecution.
I did hear this. I did hear the governor say that he supposedly changed clothes on the roof. I don't think that could possibly be accurate.
Yeah, I didn't hear him say that. I've heard most of his interviews, and I never heard him say that particular thing. He said he might have said he jumped over there, and I don't know if I don't know. I haven't heard him say that. If you can send me a link where he says that, let me know.
Yeah.
I'm more than willing to, accept if I see something and it's real and it's a video. I mean, I'll add that into the equation. I don't just pretend like I don't have confirmation bias. Let's put it that way, where I have to keep no matter what comes in, I'm going to look at it a certain way to keep my theory going. If something changes a point in a theory, then I just completely move on. It's, everybody wants to be right, but sometimes we're not right. And then you got to move on with the new information in a different direction. I mean,
Yeah.
You don't wake up in the morning going, boy, I can't wait to be wrong today. I mean, you want to be right when you're putting stuff out, right? Everybody in the world is like that. When people say, Gray, you always have to be right. Well, no, I mean, I don't have to be, but I want to be right.
Sure.
I mean, that's a good goal to have, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, I think anybody worth their salt is going to do everything they can to be accurate. And then what's most important is, like, when you do get things wrong, you got to freaking, it sucks, because there's consequences. There's a lot of people who are like, he was wrong about the body armor. F that guy. And I get it, but I'm not going to fail to do that.
I watched your video on that, and I was like, no, before I watched your video, I was thinking, there's no way, there's no body armor there. But when I watched yours, I was like, even my friend Zozo there thought that originally, and then she changed her mind just like you did. But when I watched your video, I was like, there's some good points in there.
Yeah.
So then I was like, that is kind of interesting. So I said to her, the black spot is irrelevant, but it could have deflected based on what you were saying. But then you have all the reports out there saying that there's no body armor. And then we have to figure out a new reason why the shirt is doing what it's doing. Right.
And why there's no exit wound. Jay Dominguez here says, would a 30 cal big game hollow point hunting pellet penetrate completely through the neck, maybe from up close, but what about 140 yards? Folks, 140 yards is like we zero at 100. It's literally nothing. Like, you are not losing a significant amount of muzzle velocity at 140 yards. So yeah, there's a slight difference between point blank muzzle velocity and 140 yards, but we're still talking most likely well over 2,500 feet per second, even at 140 yards. You're talking about a rifle that is extremely easily capable of 1,000 plus. So 140 yards is nothing. And yes, we would expect a round to completely go through, just zip through a human neck, which is very little tissue and it's not very dense.
Right. And I guess that angle, though, now that we think back, that would sort of have a better chance of hitting the spine because it's right to left motion, hits the left part of his neck. Definitely could have hit that spine, but even the shock wave alone would just probably be devastating to the spinal cord, like you were saying earlier, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm looking through you guys' super chats.
I think tomorrow is going to be a big day in this one. I think there's a whole bunch of stuff is going to be unearthed and put out there. I really hope they do a presentation press conference because you need to do stuff like that in these types of cases. Other type murder cases, maybe you don't need to do that, but this is a much bigger deal where the whole nation is involved. Man, I tell you what, I'm so disgusted at some of the comments you see people making out there.
Yeah.
Have you seen those things? I mean, they're just.
Oh, I've seen a bunch of them. I have some recorded. I think it's utterly disgusing. I'm assuming you're talking about things like that. Basically, Charlie deserved it type of thing.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm also seeing, and I'm probably going to ruffle some feathers here, but I also see this, what I think is a dangerous trend, or clearly us on the right are angry about what's going on. And now I see people compiling lists of people saying things online and basically, hey, these people should be fired. I think if you're a conservative, I think you need to stick to your principles and continue to believe in, freedom of speech. And I understand that there's a difference between, I understand the legal argument of, hey, you know what, basically the First Amendment protects us from the government, any sort of reprisal from the government based on our opinions, beliefs, things that we express, religion, whatever else. But the intent behind the First Amendment was that you could believe whatever you want, you could express yourself in any way that you want, and you still get to be a you still get to participate in society.
Mhm.
And I agree. Almost everything these people are saying are freaking horrific. I don't think that us turning into the left and turning into a cancel culture of the right is the right response. I think that is against our principles. I believe that.
Yeah.
And
It's weird. I was saying that same thing. Like, well, go ahead, finish your.
No, I mean, I mean, that's what principles are, right? Like you do them when it's convenient, when it's not convenient, when you're pissed off and you're not pissed off, you stick to those ideals. And I think that that really concerns me that we see so many on the right saying they want to do that. And here's the thing, like we think that's reprehensible. Well, the crazy left also thinks that the idea that you think that abortion is murder is reprehensible and you shouldn't be able to participate in society or be employed. The fact that you believe that you have the right to bear arms and carry guns, like they think that is disgusting and you shouldn't, you're all the names, right? Racist, a Nazi, all these things, and that you shouldn't be able to participate in society. No, like at the end of the day, we need to go back to what we as Americans used to believe. Like, hey man, I think you're batshit crazy. I think what you believe is disgusting, but I also think that you should have the right to be able to say it.
Yeah, but also, okay, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No,
I was going to say, I think that the employers though that are firing them are removing them for just really bad judgment. I mean, horrendous judgment. You see, and that's okay to me. Yeah. I'm not going to create a list or anything like that, but I think these people that are making those comments, if they get fired, it's on them, man, because they're way worse. I see what you're saying. Like, somebody who's against abortion should never get fired. That's just a belief system that they have, and they're actually sort of have a noble position there by protecting the lives of unborn kids, right? But this is horrendous. I mean, you got people out there, I mean, just the same shit over and over again. Oh my God, he was a horrible person. He was a Nazi. He deserved what he got, blah, blah, blah. And that just shows you that you aren't able. Like if I was an employer of any of these people, I'd say, get the hell out of here. It's embarrassing.
I agree.
Right? So that's where. And
clearly employers have the right to do that. You get to choose who works for you. If I had someone employed that was spouting those horrendous things, depending on what they said, I would, me personally, I would pull them aside and say, hey, look, what's going on? It just, again, it depended exactly on
I agree with what you're saying, creating a list and trying to create a groundswell. Then you become what the left is doing, where they do the cancel culture bullshit. But in this case, it's so horrendous what they're saying. I could see the employers, especially. I mean, there's actually like an anesthesiologist that was saying these things.
Yeah.
I mean, would you ever want to get a surgery if she accidentally found out that you were a Republican or a conservative?
There was someone in Secret Service that was celebrating his death. There was a sheriff's deputy. So there's a bunch of people from all walks of life that think that, and this is the problem. And the reason they think that's okay is because the left has painted all of these people on the right, Trump voters, MAGA, Charlie Kirk, Trump himself, they are existential threats. That's what they've been telling everybody for the last 5-10 years. Yeah. And then it's okay to do that. When you're saying this person is Hitler, it's okay, and everybody should celebrate that they're dead.
Well, see, you guys, that's why I like this guy. I say that is my only thing that I say. I say to people, when you have the media and politicians calling Trump and anybody associated with him a fascist and worse than Hitler, it's going to get through to some nut job out there who thinks, man, if I could go back in time, I would kill Hitler. So I'm going to do the same thing here because it's saving mankind from another person like Hitler. And see, that's the scariest thing. If they got rid of that rhetoric, it would be okay. I mean, that is really it, right? I mean, other than that, it's like the rest of the shit they say is like, well, I don't agree with you on this. I think that that's fine. That's just disagreement. But they are painting the conservatives as Hitler types. And, that's where this absolute hate with deadly consequences is coming about. But I totally agree with you.
And this is what we're dealing with on the left.
Nobody died. My back. I have the best news ever.
What?
Donald Trump died.
Oh, jeez.
Second best news.
The vice president died.
Okay, third
Vice
best
president.
news.
That Elon Musk died.
Okay, no. Nobody
Wow.
died. My best friend's getting married.
Which one is it?
Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift and Travis.
Wow. So they must
Oh.
have taught that kid. Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah.
Sick.
And you know, we have a whole generation of kids that have been born in the last, 10 years that have been, completely radicalized along the way. And the same thing we have with guys like Crooks, now, Tyler Robinson. And there's a bunch of them out there that are saying, hey, not only is this good, what has happened, but these people are essentially heroes. And that's a real freaking problem. We don't see that on the right. We just don't. And I've never, man, if any of my kids or any of my friends' kids that, were Republican and said something like that about Biden or, Kamala or anybody, like, I'd be like, dude, that is absolutely disgusting. And I just don't see that same thing happening. There's no comparison. And that's the other thing that really frustrates me is the constant false equivalency between the right and the left. There is no equivalency.
Yeah, they always try to say, the right needs to tone down their rhetoric. What do you mean, man? I mean, there's nothing even equivalent to that. Nobody's calling anybody an existential threat like a Hitler type. We just say, oh, he's a communist, because they are, like the guy that's running for mayor in New York, right? He's a communist, right? But we're not saying, oh my God, equating him to some mass killer. That's crazy. Yeah.
Or calling them a racist, or calling them, a misogynist, or like all of these things that our society finds absolutely reprehensible. Like, I mean, quite frankly, communism is praised. Like, all you got to do is sit there and look at somebody's, fiscal policies and economic policies and be like, sure looks like communism to me. That guy's a communist. That is not nearly equivalent to saying, hey, you know what, that guy is a Nazi. That guy is a woman hater. That guy is whatever a transphobe, homophobe, all the names that, like, honestly, if it's 2025 and you're conservative, you're a Republican, you haven't been called those things, then you're not Republicaning hard enough, right? You need to get out there and get the rookie numbers up. But that's what we've been dealing with for the last. And going back to the we were talking about the cancel culture. Not only is that a bad tactic by going after people for what they're saying, and I think violates our fundamentals. The other problem that I have with it is I want people to be able to feel like they can go out and say those things so that we can see it out in the open. So number one, you can actually create some discourse like, hey, you believe this, you said this on Facebook, YouTube, Blue Sky, whatever. The other thing too is, like, I want to know if my kid's teacher is espousing these things, because if we start getting them fired, they still believe it, but now they're just going to do it surreptitiously. And I at least want to have that information so I can make a judgment call and say, you know what? Great. You can believe whatever you want, but I'm taking my kid out of your class, or I'm taking my kid out of this school. I don't think we start suppressing speech is the way to go. Now, anything that's condoning violence, which there's a good argument to be made that this is, anything short of that, I think we as conservatives need to stick to our principles on it.
Yeah. Same.
I'm going through super chats, folks. I'm trying to get to as many as possible. I lost my place at one point, so now I'm going back through there.
I think like both channels show up on there, right? Like the super chats come from all of them.
It's showing both. I talked about this earlier. Yes, there's a clear shot angle. Here it is. I still have it up here, folks. There it is. Gray showed it earlier too. There's a clear line of sight. There's nothing impeding, and it's not that severe of an angle to begin with.
Yeah, and see, it's right to left angle. So that would, I mean, it could have hit his spine because of the way it went in, kind of at an angle, like at a, I don't know, 2, I don't know, like a 4-degree angle. It's not that
Yeah.
steep, I guess, or whatever you call that, sideways.
Bass Fishing says, do you think he was aiming his chest nerves caused him to kick his upper plate, neck, or aiming for a headshot somehow? We don't know. We don't know if he was aiming for the chest and it went high. I don't think he was aiming for his neck. We don't know if he was aiming for his chest and it went high, or if he was aiming for his head and it went low. I think that what happened is that dude. I keep hearing about the cell phone gun. I think, honestly, folks, I don't think that there's any sort of cell phone gun. Me personally, if you guys got pictures of that, and I know what you guys are talking about and referencing, I don't think that's a firearm. And when the shot goes off, it would need to be super well timed. If we're shooting with this other gun and then we got a decoy gun going off, and then on top of that, you would see some sort of recoil take place. You would see some sort of movement for sure. When the rifle was covered, did investigators say there was a chambered round? I don't think that information was put out.
I mean, there was something about how they found a round with writing on it. I don't know if that was the shell casing, and then there was other bullets. Yeah, I don't remember if it was one that was in the gun or just ones that were found later. I mean, I don't know. Does that take multiple rounds, that type of rifle? Can you put like, put a few in there?
There's probably, I have to look at what they have. It's probably an internal magazine. So it probably holds like 3 to 5 rounds. Mauser 68. And, somebody brought it up earlier. Like, I don't think we've actually been confirmed that this is what it is. We have a supposed, alleged, leaked ATF document. So, I think right now that's probably accurate. But who knows? I think that's a really great point. Maybe it's something that is a much lower caliber that now we could at least probably have a better explanation of why there's no exit wound. But I haven't seen anything that indicates that.
Kind of a loud boom shot, though, isn't it? I don't know if that indicates anything, but
yeah, I mean, but if it was, I don't think the sound that it made would be like a 223, 308, but it's still a 308. I would expect we could have a 6.5. I think the original Mauser was chambered in something like 6.7 or something like that. I have to look that up. Like, you can get it in 8x68. I'd have to look that up. Or 6.8. So, I mean, I don't know.
I think it's just going to be, everything's going to match up. And the problem is if everything matches up, the conspiracy theorists will say it's a cover-up, because then there's no out, and that's their next answer. How much you want to bet? How much you want to bet?
No, I mean,
it's coming.
Look, I mean, there's already people in the chat that are convinced that like it came from a different angle. And no matter how much evidence, and just like Ray, like if I can see evidence that says, hey, it's something different than what we're seeing, I'm okay with that. But we have a shooter on the roof. He had a clear line of sight. We see him exit the roof. We see him actually get on top of the roof. There's a lot of evidence.
You see him run.
We have DNA from that guy.
Yeah.
Now, if you're going to believe that the Trump FBI is completely fabricating all this, I guess, but at some point, even their capabilities are limited. Austin Edmondson, how much would a zero be affected by breaking down the rifle? So if we're just removing the stock from the barreled action, you're talking likely almost nothing. There's some things that can affect it depending on how it goes back together, and if it's
How
not
about how you
fitted
store
to-
it while you're running? How about that part? Like you put it in your backpack and it's not now it's touching things and you're running, moving, and does it wiggle it a little bit? Could it do that?
Yeah, I mean, it could, depending on, it doesn't look like it was well assembled. If that's the gun, all those things could affect it. But again, folks, so typically we'll say if like you break down a rifle and put it back together, or even take a scope complete and put it back on, it's going to be within 1 MOA of its 0. That's typically what we'd expect. So what that means is at 140 yards, it'd be about 1.5 inches left, right, up, or down variable. Let's say it's a really crappy gun and he really bumped it a bunch. It was 4 MOA off. So if I'm aiming center mass and this is where it was hitting before it was assembled, and now it's going to hit 4 inches, about maybe 5 to 6 inches at 140 yards, we're still within 140 yards is nothing. So even if it was a crazy 6 MOA difference, I mean, we have a pretty massive shift, it's still within right here. And then ultimately they could be aiming here and hit them in the neck. And because of a loss of 0 or a 0, we have a shift in the 0 because of mechanically changing the rifle or bumping the optic or any of those things.
Somebody up here said there was 1 spent, 3 unspent in the mag. I don't know if that's where they're getting that from, but I'm just throwing it out there. I'm waiting to see if they can send me something.
Yeah, I have heard something similar, that there was a magazine. So, and again, what I don't know for sure is if the Mauser 68 has an internal mag or a detachable magazine, but it looks like actually, like most rifles, you can get both. But the old school rifle, and that looks like a more traditional style, it looks like it has an internal magazine.
Yeah, I kind of remember like early on them talking about what the messages and where they were found. I just don't remember any of that. I've been kind of focusing on the timeline and movements and things like that.
Perhaps this has already been said, but just ask your friend in the white hat who you say you are close with. He should be able to tell you if he had a chest plate on, correct? That should give you a 100% answer if he had one or not. I think you misunderstood, Brian. The guy in the white hat was close to Charlie, not me. I don't know if you're referencing my video and you heard something different, but I'm not close. Or you're talking to Gray. Do you know somebody, the guy in the white hat?
Was that the guy that was off to the right a little, even more of the security?
I believe that's who he's
that they think shot underneath his arm.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's funny because it's just like, God,
well, no, I think he's talking about the guy with the white hat, the minister. He was in the back. He had the white hat. People were saying he was holding a cell phone.
Oh, I think I saw that.
Yeah. So that's who I think he's referencing. You misunderstood me. If that's what you heard, I said Charlie was close to him. And I actually read a message from somebody else that kind of clarified that stuff. All right, so there is a misunderstanding on some of this, folks. So there are clear pictures, and I talked about this in the video before last I released 2 days ago. There are definitely clear pictures where Charlie is not wearing body armor. But there's also, and I've played it, I've shown you, when he gets shot, it does appear that there is body armor on. I also said that I thought it was unlikely that he shows up without body armor, does the meet and greet, and could put body armor on. I mean, it's actually very plausible, and that could have happened. At this point, I don't think that's what happened. But again, there are some, when you go through and you look at some of the pictures out there, and I covered it. I'm gonna pull up one of those pictures just so you guys see this, because it's when he actually gets shot, it does look like he has body armor on. Let me see. It is this folder. Yeah. So I'll share this one real quick. Let me pull this off the stage. And let me.
I mean, people are still I'm getting more questions about the body armor. It's more likely than not that he wasn't wearing body armor, right?
Yeah.
Right, so
I
we'll
agree
go with that. Like, let's say, what do you think, 90% something or more?
I don't know if I'm that high.
Maybe 70%.
70.
Okay.
70%.
Right.
I'm good with 70. All right, so
I'll go with
let's look at this shot sequence. This looks like to me that he has body armor on. All right, you see this mass underneath his shirt go up, billow up, and then it actually goes down. And there's actually even in one of these frames, not necessarily here, but right here, at this last frame on the right, where it looks like the F folds underneath something under his shirt.
He's already hit in the first one on the left, right? Top left.
Yeah. So he's that's right before he gets hit, and now he's hit right here. And then we also see, or at least this is when his body is moving and his shirt is moving. So then we see this mass go up underneath his shirt, which looks like a low pro vest. And then we see this point in his shirt that gets pulled up and then back down. And then you even look at the bottom pictures. If you look at the bottom pictures, it looks like his outer shirt is folding underneath a vest.
But couldn't that be the wave that I was talking about, the shock wave?
Sure.
See how it moves? See how it moves down on the left? How it goes down, down, down? See how that little line is higher and then lower?
Well, it goes up and then back down.
Mm-hmm.
If you look like the second picture in the top row, we see what looks like a mass going upward, and it continues to go upward. If you look at the bottom edge of it, it looks like it continues to go upward. And then we get to the first picture on the bottom on the left. It looks like it's coming down, and even the bottom edge of whatever that is, and maybe it's just his shirt, moving in this strange manner, but it looks like it could be potentially a low profile.
Well, why don't you now looking at these pictures, use that theory earlier with the cord from the microphone, and think about that. Does that work in this? I mean, for the shirt thing,
I don't know. I mean, maybe it would explain the high apex of the top of the collar shirt in the top right hand corner, where a cord gets pulled and it's pushed way up like that. I could possibly buy that.
Where do you think the bullet hole is in the shirt? Because you were saying earlier, maybe it went in and you're still not convinced it didn't deflect off of, if there is a body armor, where in these pictures does it show the bullet hole?
Hold on. Let me add us back on here, and then I'll pull up the photos that I have. And I'll have to dig through some files here.
I'm going to go with the shockwave theory, even though I'm not a that's all I can come up with.
I think given the likelihood, which is low, that he had body armor on, I think it's maybe a better theory right now, for sure. It still looks like a low pro vest underneath there.
I see what you're seeing. It looks like a square, like you can see it. But then in some pictures, it's flat, so you can't see it. Like the one you saw, you could say the nipple. Maybe it's popping off.
My point is that there are clearly pictures where he doesn't have body armor. I would tell you that right away. What I don't know if there was some point in time that he put body armor on. Something could have changed with the security posture. I don't know. Again, what I keep seeing, and then there's also a bunch of, and I also talked about in that video, like just because you see his nipple doesn't mean that he doesn't necessarily have body armor on. Would be within his chest. Like you would see a nipple. You could potentially see a nipple.
Yeah.
What I don't
saw that. That was pretty good.
What I don't think in that particular picture is that if we did see the nipple, given how tight the shirt is, I do think that you would see a plate.
Yeah, you see like the edge, like a little edge of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Or if it was soft plates or anything, I do think you would see that.
And then we don't have the full timing, so you're the only option would be like he left for a moment and put one on or something.
Or I mean, he could literally have went around the back of the tent and thrown something on his security team. Like, it doesn't take especially if you're already wearing some sort of compression. Well, I'll just show you this real quick. So, you know, if he was wearing plates, he'd probably be wearing something like this. And again, you can get these, I don't know what size these plates are, but you can get plates that are literally 8x10 that are small plates that are very common to be used in something where you're using low profile. But you were asking where the hole was. Let me remove this.
And then after that, maybe you can show that six up again later. I wanted to say something about it.
You wanted to see what?
On that, you know, the 6 images.
Oh, yeah.
Because to support my shockwave theory, look at how his neck got way bigger and his face and everything, you know, like everything looks totally different just immediately. And I'm just sort of wondering if that's kind of like all associated with the weird movements.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with that. Let me I'm gonna have to put this in like let me try to put this in Premiere Pro because it shows the bullet wound too, and that'll be problematic with YouTube. But I do think that you can see, you know, you see a pretty clear hole or a spot on his shirt that there we go. All right. So let me get in here in Premiere Pro and I'll show you guys this. I'm going to block this for just a second. I'm going to go ahead and blow this up and attempt to not show too much.
How do you still see it? What you're zooming out?
I don't. I'm zooming blindly, to be honest with you.
I was like, man, that's pretty good.
And I didn't do too well. All right. So what I will tell you is that this, you guys can see this black dot right here. That black dot correlates with the apex of where the shirt kind of flies up in the air. And again, originally what I was saying was, hey, look, I think we made an impact with a plate underneath there, and that's where it hit on the shirt. So, you know, that.
I mean, I thought your video was pretty good. Like, I could see why you would think that.
Yeah. Well,
you know, and maybe, you know, who knows? I guess we have to wait till to see what they say.
Yeah.
But apparently, there's some people are saying no plates, and some people say they are. But it's the guy's cousin's uncle's daughter's nephew.
Yeah.
So that's a little. I don't know if it's quite that.
I wouldn't consider that a credible source either. So.
Yeah.
You know, I think right now I would had to pick one. I'd say, hey, he's not wearing plates, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But it leaves a lot to be explained, I think.
I wish we could add if there was like something that was. I'm sure there's video that somebody else has. It's really clear, and you can see that whatever that black thing is sort of fire off. Maybe that's what you're seeing in the background, and that one little piece that you see. You know that one that you circled. It was circled, and there was a little item in the air. Maybe that's the earpiece or something, or the microphone.
You're talking about well, you're talking about this thing, the
Yeah,
might
maybe
have
that's what
flipped.
that was in the air. That was, or it
No,
couldn't
I
have
don't think it. I have to look. Basically, they're saying it was basically his ear monitor, which
Hmm.
I'll have to look in some of the other footage to see if he was wearing an ear monitor. I actually like that theory. I think that makes a lot of sense, more so than the necklace. So, Phil, I didn't say that a private business, if they want to fire someone, they shouldn't be able to. I think they should. They absolutely have that right. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that we as conservatives shouldn't turn to the left where we're going through people's posts and then forwarding them to their employers and becoming that type of society. I think there's a real problem with that. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you don't want. We don't want to be the ones that pressure businesses into firing certain people.
Yeah,
because that's what they did for years and years and years and years, and they'll just fire them because what they said shows such shitty judgment that they'll just naturally fire them. I think the fact that their posts are out there and people are, oh my God, you guys see this post? And the business sees it and goes, oh crap. But that's not like actively, contacting them and telling them, oh, you better fire them or I'm never eating there again.
Yeah. And for the same reasons that Gray mentioned, that, hey, it's piss poor judgment and just kind of shows that you have a lack of humanity. I agree with Chris here. And Gray on that. If you're an Army colonel and this is the types of things you're saying, you need to be removed. And that was another problem where we had the Biden administration completely inundate the top ranks of the military and the military leadership with far left extremists. That was a real problem, and it's still a problem today. John Hammond says, how confident are you Charlie wasn't wearing armor? I basically just said that, probably about 70%. I think the bullet hit the upper portion of the plate and expended a level of energy and deflected into the neck without an exit wound. I agree. That's why I said that to the beginning. But all I'm saying is right now, the most solid reports that we have, which could be incorrect, right? Says he's not wearing body armor. Like I said, to me, that was the unifying theory that explained everything to me. That also we had no exit wound. I could tell immediately that there was either brainstem and or brain injury, the way that he seized up. With a round going here, it opening the wound larger than I would expect an entrance wound, and then the round going up into the cranial cavity. All of that made sense, and body armor provided that explanation. But when you say there's no body armor, then we're left with other things, and I'm cool with it.
Hey, can we look at the image that all 6 shots on?
Let me find that one again.
I just want to look at the, I was looking at yours and I was thinking, man, look how it looked like he could really expanded his.
Oh, without a doubt.
I'm sure it probably does that, but see how thin his neck is on the first one. And then it's weird how his eyes are closed and they just stay closed. Are you sure he wasn't just initially hit on that one? I don't know, but look at
I think we would see the same result in the neck and head area, but even his head looks larger. So
like his cheeks, like a chalk.
If my theory was correct and it hit body armor and then went more up at a vertical angle into his head, like I would expect to see the same thing. What I wouldn't expect to see is his entire, and what you don't see here from the side, like we see this rebounding effect that we have here. But what we don't see is the fact that if you look at it from the side, he looks like he crunches down first, like his whole head goes forward, like he's hitting the chest. So I think you probably expect similar responses, physiological responses either way. So that's also what makes it a little bit harder to determine one way or the other. And especially when you're talking about something that's happened in milliseconds and we have, a frame rate of 30 frames per second at best. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you'd almost need, 500 frames a second or, more than that, like 1,000 to really see what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, folks, I've played these videos in one of the videos. I understand that when he arrives, there's definitely pictures of him without body armor. What I'm saying is that we don't have continuous footage of Charlie Kirk, and I'm saying that he could have put body armor before he sat down at some point. I don't know if that's true. We don't have continuous footage. I don't know if that took place. I think it's probably unlikely at this point, as I stated, but just because we have pictures at one time without body armor doesn't mean that he went without body armor totally. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, you want to check a look at this crazy article that one of my mods sent me? You know that guy? Remember that first guy they arrested? I don't know if you want to see this. I got it on the screen if you want to take a look at it. It's pretty
I'm trying
cool.
to add. Hold on. There we go.
Yeah, so it says, man that claimed to shoot Charlie Kirk to draw attention from the real shooter. And it said, and this is from today. So it said, police say that Salt Lake City man who was no stranger to the state's political scene claimed responsibility moments after the shooting death of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. George Hodgson Zinn, 71, was booked into Utah County Jail for investigation of obstruction of justice and sexual exploitation. Jesus, this guy's a monster.
Well, Gray, you know he has ties to 9/11, right? So if you Google his name,
No, really?
What other articles come up?
That's crazy. But man, I wonder if he saw the shot and then he was like, "Oh, I did it," because he wanted the shooter just sort of instinctively to get away. Or but the thing is, what's interesting is he does get on his phone before he goes into the tunnel for some minutes, and I'd love to see what was on that phone. Did he make any calls, or is there any text messages? Like he knew it was time. I mean, how did he know from that crouched position, just listening? When he was he was right there in this little area, and then at 12:22 he knows, okay, it's trying to go, and he runs over there and he shoots. How did he know from back there that was the right time?
Yeah, I have no clue.
It's pretty.
I have no clue. If you get a chance, highlight and Google that guy's name. And while you're doing that, we'll cover a couple of these other super chats. Recon Bear said, look at the collar of shirt, gray spot under the wound, could be a shadow. So that's a problem that I have too, Recon Bear, is it's not a shadow. That spot is not there until after impact, and then it's there in several frames, and only after multiple frames where it is covered in blood does it go away. So, and it's moving with the shirt. So that's not a shadow. That's not an artifact from the camera. That's like, there is something at that spot, and nothing else other than a round hitting it explains it. It's not blood. He doesn't even start bleeding. Like it's there for multiple, you can track it in multiple frames before it's covered up by what happened. Did you find the article on him?
I've seen some of these, like I haven't seen the one on. Wait, let's see, Rudy Giuliani and George Zinn, but it might. I don't know if it's the same one, because he has Hodgson, and these are. I mean, how many people are named George Zinn though? I mean, that's
yeah,
that's kind of. I don't know. I don't really see it quickly something related.
I saw several articles on this on I think it was ABC News, or I don't remember. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a massive rabbit hole to connect it somehow. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, I have a hard time believing that it was. Well, I think it might be a wire flying through the air, his earpiece flying through the air. I don't know that we would see the wire push the shirt up the same way. And again, going back to that spot correlates exactly with where the shirt goes way up to his ear and then back down. And when it comes to, it's right above the O, because, yeah. Hey, Brian, no, I don't mention that he's my friend. I said, I'm reading the video that the lady's playing that I had to pull out. I clearly state that, Brian. Go back a little bit. The lady is talking. I had to pull out the audio, so I'm just reading the text on her video because she had music playing on the audio, just so we're clear on that. So
Yeah,
I'm
you're
reading
quoting
her words.
Yeah.
I'm reading her words so that we didn't get a copyright strike, because the music, if I play that in the video, we would get a copyright strike. So I'm just reading her words, and I state that in the video, just so we're clear. Sorry you missed that. Don't skip through the videos. You got to watch the whole thing, buddy.
That's what I wish people do, man. I mean, a 15-minute video a day, 6-minute and 30-minute average watch time.
Every time they skip a
That's
spot,
a
it's
lot.
like the most important. It's like the
Right,
it's
that's
like
crazy.
the critical piece.
And they always, in the comments, how many times you get questions that you answered that they didn't watch? And I just say, did you watch my video? Because it's right there. I answered it.
Nib7, I don't have a good answer for you. It's a great question. When taking down the cameras, why were they not concerned about stepping in the mass amount of blood? I don't know that blood was, I don't know. Look, it's a pretty large area back there. I'm sure they could have sidestepped the blood back there. I feel what you're saying, and I agree that that is probably one of the strangest elements of this entire thing. Yeah, that's another great point, Eric. Here's the danger of getting these people fired. They now have all the time in the world to burn the system down and no way to rehabilitate. So there's that. We don't know what they're thinking. They're saying these things, you know, secretly, which they're going to anyhow. But again, it's a terrible society to be in. And where does that end too? Because again, folks, just because of the business I'm in, I've been debanked 3 times. Like, we have a business that feeds our family that I went like, I don't know, almost a month where we couldn't process any credit cards or anything else. And so I've had to move payment processors. And because we're in the business that we're in, training, and we have a FFL license, you know, we are exercising constitutionally protected activities. And we've had credit card processors pull us off 3 different times. PayPal not only cut us off, but they seized over $8,000 of ours. We had to get a lawyer to get it back, and we didn't get it all back, by the way. So if we get to a point to where it's like, hey, you know what, I don't believe in what you're saying, or you're so disgusting, I'm just going to remove your rights to participate in the society. Well, if it's that bad, then they need to be in jail. And if they're not in jail, then we need to figure out a good balance of that. I agree that employers should be able to fire whoever they want, right? 100%. But at the same time, if I had an employee that said something not at the level of this, I think, again, what we're talking about here is essentially you're glamorizing violence, you're approving violence. And depending on what they said, I've heard people say something to the effect of, and it's disgusting, something to the effect of, well, you know, he was a defender of the Second Amendment, and now this is what happens. Again, that's disgusting.
It is.
But that is different. Yeah. That is a different level to me than someone saying, oh, I'm so glad that he got killed, right? Like, or he deserved it. And I know there's some semantics there, but at the same time, there is, I just think we need to be real careful when we start advocating for the suppression of speech and expression. And I don't want the left, I don't want the right to turn into the left. And I don't think that should be done in America at all. With that being said, just like you guys, yeah, you know, employers should be able to fire whoever they want. Hey, look, folks, I'll look at some of these things. Frame 3 is entering the back of his neck head. Exits in frame 5 through the shirt. It's on X. Just because there's a video out there doesn't mean it's legit. There's nothing there that indicates to me that front wound on his neck is an exit wound. It just doesn't. It doesn't look like an exit wound. And not only that, again, folks, go look at an exit wound. Go look at I know there's slow motion footage on animals and things like that. Probably, if not on YouTube, definitely on Rumble. Like, there is a huge expulsion of bodily materials, blood, bone, all these things. We don't see that. We see a wound, a small wound open up, and then a couple of seconds later, we see, you know, where he starts bleeding. That is not that's not the dynamics of an exit wound at all. It doesn't look like it. It's not, the skin isn't as ripped as it should be. It's just completely different.
Jeez. Hold on. My God, we're quoting this crazy person.
Yeah, true, Rex. I agree. That's what it looks like. Again, we'll see if it comes out that that indeed, like, I want to be very careful and not latch on to something like, oh, this is my theory, and it, you know, become attached to it. I want to be, you know, objective, and I don't want to just like, I hope this is proven right. I mean, I'm sure there's a part of me that does, but I want to be, I don't know, I want to be a little bit more detached from that idea. And it may end up being proven right. Catherine, I know what you're talking about. I think what we're seeing is, I think we have blood coming out and it's dropping onto the M. I saw exactly what you're talking about. It's like some comes out and then it really starts to flow. That's what I think it is, but you could be right. We you know, maybe something else is going on there. Blackstone Intel.
I think tomorrow we're going to get a whole bunch of information from the FBI.
Yeah.
In my opinion. People are, I mean, you got to give some process time, you know. Somebody say Gray always gets screwed on. Okay, you guys took care of me tonight. Don't worry about it over there. But thanks, Grumpy Gilmore.
Yep. All right, I'm going to the, I think I've gotten, I know I didn't hit them all. Some of them were a little redundant. So if you had a super chat and I didn't hit it, any more that come up, we'll try to hit them real quick. It's 11:57. We'll be closing this thing down. I'm sure Gray needs to get his beauty sleep.
Oh yeah, it's not going to help me one bit. Might help you though. Okay, not me. I'm too old.
And it is midnight over here. It's like 3 p.m. at your place.
Yeah, it is 9 over here, but I do.
I know.
I go to bed at like. Usually I stay in here for a long time, about like 11. Then I go to bed and I watch 2 hours of TV, and I go to bed at 1. And then I get up at 9. You know, so it's like I need to sort of switch that around a little bit because I think I miss out on stuff. If I got up at 7, I'd be a little, you know, closer to the news, the breaking news that's coming out. I miss it.
All right. Yeah, I think. Hold on, we'll throw this one up here. One more thing. What about the sound of the impact to the plate? Should we have heard that separately from the gunshot? What I would say is, especially if it skipped off the plate, you probably wouldn't hear that over the gunshot in the crowd and everything else.
Hey, let me say, hey, thanks mods and everybody out there, and thanks for everybody who's supporting my channel on my stream over there, you know, and thanks everybody for supporting him on his stream. And
yeah,
thanks everybody.
Yeah, folks. Hey, look, we really appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know.
We'll have to do it again as we get more information, and we'll
absolutely,
you know, because I'll just keep putting the timeline so we have like every single element. I bet you'll we'll get surveillance inside the building, more through the neighborhood and everything, and it'll just be ding, ding, ding. It'll be a whole story, and it'll be easy to track and follow, and all makes sense in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I agree. Well, listen, folks, we really appreciate you tuning in and supporting both of our channels. I think that, you know, The fact is, I think most of us are pretty dismayed with the quality of information, to say the least, that we're getting from the U.S. government, and we're definitely getting from the mainstream media. So, you know, I think it's not just us, but many people out there are realizing that some of this kind of journalism at our level, right, is what really gives us more information than anything else. So, and I know that's what I love about watching Gray stuff. I try to do the same thing, just give you something as straight as possible, as truthful as possible. That's what it's all about. So again, we appreciate all the support. Gray, listen, man, I love doing these things with you. You do just such a great job. You're the best in business, I think, when it comes to laying out these timelines and events and just making it, easy for us to kind of wrap our heads around what's going on. And I appreciate what you do too. So thanks for doing this with me.
Oh, thanks a lot. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. It was great. All right, folks. So until next time, stay armed, stay ready. We'll talk to you soon.
Be safe out there.